Chapter 5003. Two lawbreakers came this time, a man and a woman. Other than the two of them, Ronald and Gavin also followed them. A total of 4 people. When they arrived, they asked Ogre to call everyone out. Ronald's gaze swept across the crowd. When he saw Zi Chen and Miao Pengfei, surprise flashed across his face, but he didn't say anything. Ogre told them about the situation here, and the 2 lawbreakers looked at the dirty ogre with disdain. "Sir, we've been here for so long, and we can't hold on any longer." After saying that, Ogre looked troubled. According to the rules, every day they went out, they would receive 2 strands of energy as a reward. After walking for a total of 5 days and staying here for a few days, each of them received more than 10 strands of energy. The lawbreakers obviously didn't care about this kind of thing. Ronald took out a lot of extreme energy and began to distribute it to everyone. When he came in front of Zichin, he looked at Zichin and said in a low voice, "You're lucky to not die on the way. I hope your luck will continue." "I will." Zichin took the energy. Ronald smiled coldly, then turned back and said, "Sir, this mine is very dangerous. Why don't we let him go in and explore?" Ronald pointed at Zichin. "His speed is good. It won't take long for him to go back and forth." The lawbreaker seemed to be a little moved. The edge mine was indeed a little strange. The woman said with disdain, "They're all dirty. Let's go take a look and then leave here. I feel uncomfortable every time we stay here. Looking at these dirty people, I'm about to vomit." The 2 lawbreakers, like the lawbreakers, didn't have any energy flowing around them, but it was said that the lowest realm of lawbreakers was the 4 strength state. At this moment, facing the woman's disdain, everyone was silent. Obviously, they didn't dare to refute. "Okay then." The Magi Breaker nodded, and the 2 of them walked towards a hole. Gavin and Ronald didn't go over, but waited here. Zi Chen turned and walked toward his residence. "Stop right there. Did I say you could leave?" A cold voice rang out. It was Ronald. He stared coldly at Zi Chen. Zi Chen turned around and glanced at him. "Who said you could leave?" Ronald quickly approached and pointed at Zi Chen's nose, cursing, "Who do you think you are? His lordship is waiting here. Is it your turn to go back?" As he spoke, he raised the long whip in his hand and was about to strike. When the others saw this, their expressions changed. They had all witnessed Zi Chen's strength with their own eyes. If Ronald were to make a move now and anger Zi Chen, he would definitely not be able to survive. "If you want to die, then do it." A cold killing intent flashed in Zi Chen's eyes. From August ago, he knew that there were no rules in this place. Whoever was stronger had the final say. The reason why Ronald could command a portion of the people here was not because he was strong, but because he had a good relationship with Gavin. Jia Wen, who was at the 3 Forces realm, was undoubtedly the strongest person here. "What? You dare to threaten me?" Ronald glared at Zi Chen. However, he did not strike with his whip, perhaps because he sensed danger. Zi Chen's eyes were filled with cold killing intent. Miao Pengfei stood beside Zi Chen and looked at Zi Chen worriedly. He was well aware of Zi Chen's strength. It was too easy for him to kill Ronald, but there was still Gavin, who was at the 3 Forces realm. "Ronald, what are you doing?" Gavin's voice rang out. He walked over with a face full of dissatisfaction. "Boss, this guy obviously doesn't know the rules. We haven't left yet. How is it his turn to leave?" Ronald said angrily. "If you haven't left, you can continue to stay here." Zi Chen glanced at Ronald with an indifferent expression and turned to leave. "How dare you speak to me with such an attitude? Do you want to die?" Ronald said coldly. Zi Chen turned to look at him. "You tried to harm me just now, but failed. That was the first time. Now, you're bothering me for no reason. This is the second time. If there's a third time, I don't mind killing you." Zi Chen looked at the whip in Ronald's hand and said, "Good. I'm very interested in that whip." This was a blatant threat. After saying that, Zi Chen turned and left. Seeing this, Miao Pengfei followed Zi-Qin and left. Ronald was angry and wanted to say something, but he was stopped by Ogre. Gavin narrowed his eyes. There was a hint of coldness in his eyes. He did not like the other party's arrogance. "Let go of me, I'm going to kill him." Ronald was obviously still angry. "Sir, please calm down. If you go now, I'm afraid you won't be able to come back," Ogre said. "What do you mean?" Ronald said angrily. "You're saying I can't beat him?" The others did not say anything. They even watched happily as he went to find trouble with Zi-Qin. Ronald had always been disliked. If it was not for Gavin's protection, he would have died many times. For a moment, many people blamed Ogre in their hearts for being a busybody. "I'm not sure about Sir's combat strength, but that Zi-Qin can kill a second-force lawbreaker beast with one palm," Ogre said. "What?" Ronald's expression changed. Now that he saw a second-force lawbreaker beast, it was a matter of whether he should run or not. He did not even dare to fight, let alone kill it. Even Gavin, who was beside him, had a flash of surprise in his eyes. He found it unbelievable. "Is what you said true?" Ogre nodded and said, "Yes, I saw it with my own eyes. If you don't believe me, you can ask the others. They also saw it with their own eyes." Gavin looked at the crowd, and they nodded reluctantly. After Ronald heard the details, he was really frightened. The other party was obviously not joking. He looked at Gavin beside him and felt very lucky. Fortunately, the boss came along and made Zi-Qin cautious. Otherwise, the other party might have killed him just now. "I didn't expect such a strong person." Gavin's eyes flashed, but he did not say anything. When the others saw this, they all went back. If they stayed outside, their energy would be constantly depleted. It was much better to stay in the room. In the end, only Gavin, Ronald, and Ogre were left. Gavin said to Ogre, "You've worked hard on this journey. When this is over, come back with us. Now you should go back too." "Thank you, sir." Ogre's eyes were filled with joy. "Boss, what do we do now?" After Ogre left, Ronald looked at Gavin. Gavin's eyes flashed with a murderous intent. "Think of a way to kill him. Boss, you want to do it yourself." Ronald's eyes lit up. In his eyes, the three-force realm boss was omnipotent. Gavin shook his head and said, "No, I'll kill him with a borrowed knife." Now that he knew how powerful Zi-Qin was, all the more he couldn't let Zi-Qin live. If a second-force realm opponent had such combat strength, wouldn't he be even stronger once he advanced to the third-force realm? When that time came, where would he find a place for himself? Suddenly, a powerful fluctuation came from the hole in front of them. The two lawbreakers who entered the hole not long ago ran out in a sorry state. The two of them were surrounded by light, and there were a total of 4 forces. Chapter 5004. The two lawbreakers escaped from the pit. When they entered earlier, they were still able to maintain their poise, but now they looked very pathetic. Gavin immediately stepped forward and asked, "My lord, what's the situation?" The man was still rational and shook his head. The woman who had been hooting earlier was now extremely frightened, and her face was as pale as a sheet of paper. "Let's go back. It's too scary here." She was obviously frightened. She did not expect that just entering a pit would be so terrifying. The man who had been obedient to the woman before shook his head and said, "The situation here is not clear yet. We can't leave yet." The woman said unhappily, "Don't you know how dangerous it is in there? Do you want to die in there?" "My lord, I have someone here who is not afraid of danger. We can send him in to take a look." Gavin heard the woman's words and glanced at Ronald. Ronald instantly understood and immediately gave a suggestion. The man did not want to go any further and was a little moved. The woman beside him said, "Then what are you waiting for? Hurry up and let him out." Ronald proudly shouted for Zi-Qin in a very loud voice. However, there was no movement from Zi-Qin's room. Ronald shouted a few more times, but there was still no response. Sensing the unfriendly gazes of the two lawbreakers, he immediately cursed. "You damn guy, I told you to pretend you didn't hear me, didn't I? Do you still have any respect for my lord?" He stepped forward and kicked open Zi Chen's door while cursing. "Zi Chen, you!" Before he could finish his words, a fist light appeared from the room and hit him squarely on the forehead. Bang! His body flew backward and landed more than 100 feet away. "You're courting death!" Gavin immediately shouted angrily when he saw this from afar. "Oh, it's a person. I thought it was a law-breaking beast." Zi Chen glanced in Gavin's direction. "Sorry, I've been chased by law-breaking beasts recently. It's a conditioned reflex." "Cut the crap. My lord wants you to go in and take a look." Gavin couldn't be bothered to argue with Zi Chen. After all, it was impossible to come out alive after entering. Zi Chen said, "Only important people have the right to explore the potholes. I'm only in the second floor state. How could the Lord let me go? Even if they want someone to enter, it should be someone like you who has reached the 3 realms of strength. Only the strong will be able to find useful clues inside." Gavin obviously didn't expect Zi Chen to say such a thing, and his face immediately darkened. Obviously, he was trying to kill him on purpose. His face darkened, and he said coldly, "Cut the crap and go in quickly." At this moment, Ronald also stood up and shouted at Zi Chen, "Are you going to disobey Master's orders?" Gavin turned to the 2 spellbreakers and said, "This person is extremely cunning and has strong survivability. We will definitely find useful clues if we go in." Ronald also chimed in, "That's right. My boss is very familiar with the people here and knows how capable they are. My lord, sending him in is the most appropriate choice. Bulsh *T. I was sent here on the day I arrived. You don't even know my name. How can you understand me?" It was obvious that the other party wanted him dead. Zi Chen did not care about their expressions and cursed, "You 2 black-hearted bastards. You just want me to die. Don't make it sound so nice. If you have the ability, you 2 can go in. One of you is in the second floor state, and the other is in the third floor state. Won't the chances of survival be higher if you team up? The Lord has already ordered. You don't have the right to choose. Now, you have to go in even if you don't want to." Gavin said, coldly. Zi Chen walked forward. "If you want me to go in, that's fine. But this idiot has to come with me." Zi Chen pointed at Ronald. Ronald's expression changed drastically. Obviously, he didn't dare to go in. Zi Chen's meaning was clear. He would only die if he went in. "This is not appropriate. Only one person can go in," Gavin said, obviously wanting to protect Ronald. Zi Chen sneered, "Not appropriate. Then you go in. You ugly people are too troublesome." Hearing the argument, the woman said impatiently, You go in first. They can go in after you die." The woman pointed at Zi Chen. No matter what, the 4 of them came here together. They had met each other before. Since they were going to die, of course they should let the strangers go first. Zi Chen glanced at the 2 spellbreakers. The woman looked at him with disdain. "Why? You don't want to?" Zi Chen immediately shook his head. "No." "Then why aren't you going in? Why are you dawdling here?" Ronald shouted coldly. "Don't you know that the Lord wants to vomit when he sees you? Why aren't you scramming?" Zi Chen walked toward Ronald, his eyes cold. "What are you doing?" Seeing Zi Chen walking over, Ronald's eyes were filled with fear, and he immediately stepped back. The others saw this, and their expressions changed. "Don't misunderstand, Lord. I need a handy weapon. I think the one in his hand is just right." After Zi Chen finished speaking, he suddenly increased his speed and arrived in front of Ronald in an instant. Ronald's eyes were filled with fear. He immediately raised the long whip in his hand. Zi Chen's eyes flashed with cold killing intent. "You're right about one thing. I'm faster than you." At this moment, many people walked out of the room. After seeing this scene, their expressions changed. Was Zi Chen planning to force his way in? After all, there were 3 powerhouses here. At this moment, Zi Chen's palm fell. It was indeed faster than the long whip. Destruction. A powerful force surged, forming a strange law attack that landed on Ronald's body. Buzz! Ronald's body suddenly trembled, and the long whip stopped in midair. Zi Chen reached out and grabbed the long whip. Looking at the widened eyes of Ronald, he thanked him. As soon as he finished speaking, Zi Chen retreated. Ronald's body immediately split into pieces. As if his soul had been devoured by the annihilating shadow beast, his body turned into several pieces of crystal, then turned into infinite laws and disappeared. This scene shocked everyone. That included the two spellbreakers. They had never seen such a technique before. They were all shocked. Gavin was even more shocked. If the other party was also at the third level of strength, would he end up like Ronald? He felt sorry for Ronald's death, but it was not to the extent of lamenting. At this moment, he felt a deep fear in his heart. If Zi Chen was allowed to live and grow to the third strength state, what awaited him would be death. They had already become enemies. Zi Chen held the long whip and turned to look at Kevin, whose expression was changing, and said, "Why? Do you want to go down with me?" Kevin was indeed tempted. As a third strength state, it should be no problem for him to kill the other party. However, after a slight hesitation, he gave up. Even the two fourth strength state cultivators were scared out of their wits. A mere second strength state cultivator would definitely die. Why? You don't dare? Zi Chen's lips curled into a mocking smile. You talk too much nonsense. Hurry up and go down, or I'll slap you to death. Chapter 5005. The female spellbreaker had an impatient look on her face. She looked like she was going to slap Zi Chen to death if he didn't go in. Both parties seemed to have fallen into a cycle. The spellbreaker did not dare to enter the mine, but she dared to kill Zi Chen. Zi Chen dared to enter the mine, but he dared not fight the spellbreaker. Zi Chen felt that if he fought Gavin, who was at the third strength realm, he might win. However, in front of the two spellbreakers, he did not dare to provoke them. Why aren't you going in? Seeing that Zi Chen did not move, the female spellbreaker impatiently urged again. Do you really want to die? Zi Chen took the whip and prepared to enter the mine. Wait, give it to me. The female spellbreaker spoke again, her eyes fixed on the whip in Zi Chen's hand. My lady, there may be danger in there. I need to protect myself with it, Zi Chen said in a low voice. You'll die if you go in. It's a waste to take it. The female spellbreaker said disdainfully. The female spellbreaker liked the whip very much. She had shown it on the way here. Originally, Ronald planned to give the whip to her when they left, but he did not expect to be killed by Zi Chen. And it was a slap. In the female's opinion, Zi Chen would definitely die if he entered. Instead of dying in there and bearing the whip forever, it was better to give it to her first. Gavin stood at the side and sneered. The other party was aggressive and had a bad attitude, but Zi Chen did not dare to refute her. He threw the whip over, and the female caught it with a look of disdain. Zi Chen could actually make a few sarcastic remarks, but he gave up after thinking about it. If he was not strong enough, he would only be courting death. Without his weapon, Zi Chen walked into the mine under the watchful eyes of the crowd. He played a trick and entered the mine from another direction instead of the one that the two of them had just escaped from. At this moment, the female spoke again. Come back. Go in from here and see what's inside. Zi Chen frowned and said, Even the two of you are going to die in there, let alone me. It's your honor to send you to your death. You have to enter from here, or else you'll die right now. The woman threatened. How do you want to die? Pick one. Gavin smiled at the side. With this woman deliberately targeting him, Zi Chen had no choice but to die. Even if he made it out alive, he would probably be killed by her. It was obvious that Zi Chen had completely annoyed her. If it weren't for the fact that she wanted him to enter the mine, she would have killed him already. Zi Chen had no choice but to enter from the original entrance. The inside of the cave was gloomy and full of darkness. After walking for a few dozen feet, it was as dark as the night outside. Along the way, they could see some burnt firewood ashes. It seemed that many people had mined here in the past, and at the same time, they used firewood as a source of light. The surroundings grew increasingly gloomy and dark. Zi-Chen's eyes began to flicker as he activated his immortal spiritual eye. The mine extended all the way into the ground, and the path ahead was still incomparably dark. Zi-Chen didn't move forward. Instead, he stayed where he was. It was clear that he didn't plan to go deeper and would just wait here. Perhaps he would be able to wait until the second person arrived. They definitely wouldn't expect that he would continue to stay here and not go deeper. He wasn't stupid. Why would he obediently go in to die? However, this situation only lasted for a quarter of an hour before Zi-Chen regretted it. He stood up and took the initiative to go deeper. If he stayed here, no one would discover him. But what would he do at night? What if an even more dangerous existence appeared? Therefore, it was better to go in and investigate. With the immortal spiritual eye, the surroundings became incomparably bright. Zi-Chen held extreme energy in his left hand and the bone staff in his right. This was a little safer. As he went deeper, a desolate aura began to spread. The sharp killing intent caused Zi-Chen to shiver. Could there really be a dangerous existence inside? Zi-Chen's expression changed, and he walked even more cautiously. There were scattered stones on the ground, as well as some traces of battle. Suddenly, a desolate aura spread from the front. Faintly, Zi-Chen seemed to see a light shadow. He raised the bone staff in his hand and slashed forward. Whoa! Boundless light scattered, and the light shadow in front of him was scattered. The moment the bone staff fell, Zi-Chen understood that it was just a stream of air that carried a cold aura. Continuing down, this place was as bright as day under the immortal spiritual eye. A dazzling light appeared in front of Zi-Chen. Under the immortal spiritual eye, it was like a sun. He saw a sparkling crystal. That's the crystal that everyone mined. Zi-Chen was very surprised. He originally thought that he would need to go deeper to find it. He didn't expect to encounter it just as he arrived here. However, as Zi-Chen approached, the crystal suddenly shattered. An intense, desolate aura filled the surroundings. A black shadow rushed straight at Zi-Chen. Zi-Chen raised the bone staff, but before it could fall, the black shadow fell on Zi-Chen's body. Poof! In an instant, Zi-Chen's heart was pierced, and a large hole appeared in his chest. Zi-Chen immediately felt weak and quickly retreated. The extreme energy in his hand was being rapidly refined to mend the wound on his chest. The black shadow disappeared, but it was still an intense killing intent. There was no real living thing. However, the killing intent was real. It was hidden in the crystal. It was like countless years ago, when the killing intent of an expert manifested, it was unintentionally sealed. Zi-Chen's face was pale. The killing intent from before was too fast, and he had no time to react. He used up 2 streams of energy to mend the hole in his chest. When he moved forward again, he became very careful. However, he didn't encounter any other killing intent along the way. Going deeper and deeper, just as he was about to reach the bottom, Zi-Chen saw another crystal. This time, he was much more careful. However, before he could get close, the crystal shattered on its own. This time, Zi-Chen was prepared. The bone staff in his hand slashed down, smashing toward the killing intent. Light poured out, and the killing intent disappeared. However, before Zi-Chen could breathe a sigh of relief, he heard cracking sounds behind him. He turned around and saw a dazzling light. Those were all crystals. They appeared out of thin air and appeared in front of Zi-Chen's escape path. At the moment, these crystals shattered, and a lot of killing intent appeared. Zi-Chen's face changed greatly. He wanted to run forward, but when he turned around, he saw even more killing intent. There was no path in front or behind. His vision was filled with killing intent. What awaited Zichen was death. At this moment of life and death, a light suddenly appeared beside Zichen. This light, with Zichen as the center, spun quickly. All the killing intent that came in contact with it disappeared. It wasn't destroyed, but absorbed. Chapter 5006. The slaughtering spirit turned into a ray of light and danced around Zichen. Everywhere it went, the cold killing intent was absorbed. When Zichen obtained the bone rod, the body part next to the bone rod was filled with killing intent. The killing intent was absorbed by the slaughtering spirit. Now at this moment the slaughtering spirit showed itself. When Zichen saw this scene, he was both surprised and delighted. Not only did the slaughtering spirit save his life, it also became another big help for him after he obtained the bone rod. He would remember this grudge for scheming against him. The more power a person has, the more they will think. Even though the woman was aggressive, Zichen knew that he could not do anything to her. As for hatred, it was meaningless. But now it was different. He had the slaughtering spirit. If he ambushed her, it was not impossible to succeed. As long as he grasped the right timing, he would be able to get his revenge very quickly. Of course, before that, Zichen felt that he had to go in and take a look. The slaughtering spirit's nourishment was endless killing intent. If there was a lot of killing intent here, it would strengthen the slaughtering spirit. Taking out a ray of extreme energy, Zichen continued to move forward while refining it. After the slaughtering spirit appeared, his energy was being consumed. Plus, the bone rod and the celestial spiritual eye were being consumed. He needed to replenish them. The crystal from before did not appear again. But Zichen's doubts did not disappear for a long time. There was obviously no one here. Then what was with the crystal that suddenly appeared behind him? When he walked past, he did not see it. Just like that, they continued to go deeper, and the killing intent they encountered along the way became even more terrifying. Buzz! The slaughtering spirit shook and released specks of light that enveloped Zichen. A clear feeling spread throughout his body, blocking out all the killing intent around him. Zichen could feel the slaughtering spirit's mood. It was very happy and was very satisfied with this place. The tunnel continued to extend downwards. Along the way, there were some forks. Zichen did not take a detour and walked all the way to the bottom. With the protection of the slaughter spirit, there were no other dangers along the way. Zichen walked all the way to the underground. When they arrived at the underground, the area here was even larger, and it was also the end. Looking around, there were crystals everywhere, and the light was very dazzling. The people who came here to mine should have stopped. The reason they stopped was not because they retreated, but because they died. These crystals were like a huge and complete seal. Inside the seal was a messy battlefield. Through the crystal, Zichen saw some broken weapons and mutilated corpses. Other than that, he didn't see a complete thing. The slaughter spirit trembled, releasing strands of aura. At this moment, a crack suddenly appeared on the crystal in front of him, and then it exploded. A terrifying killing intent instantly enveloped the surroundings. It was as if countless sword lights were pressing against one's heart, forming a deadly crisis. 1. The slaughter spirit released a blazing light that swallowed up all the killing intent nearby. Like a whale sucking in water, the killing intent couldn't even get close to Zichen before it was completely devoured by the spirit of slaughter. The crystal in front of him was disappearing, and the things inside the crystal were also disappearing. As the crystal shattered, it was as if they had been washed away by the river of time, disappearing and vanishing. The crystal was disappearing in large amounts. This battle that took place many years ago disappeared just like that, and no one would know about it in the future. During this time, Zichen paid special attention to some broken weapons. There was a high chance that they could be preserved, but as the crystal shattered and the killing intent surged out, those things that were previously clear turned into ashes and disappeared. Zichen stood in place, watching the crystal shatter and disappear completely. The slaughter spirit released a cheerful mood. At first, it was absorbing above Zichen's head, but later, it turned into a stream of light and flew forward. The infinite killing intent followed it and was absorbed by it. Zichen leaned against the mine, watching this shocking scene. The infinite light in his eyes was also quickly dimming. After using up the extreme energy, Zichen took out a second one. The slaughter spirits devouring and flying consumed Zichen's energy, not his own. At the beginning, after it appeared in this world, it didn't use its own power anymore. Perhaps it didn't want to use it, or perhaps it didn't have any power to use. The sky darkened, and it was pitch black all around. Gavin invited the two spellbreakers into his room, but he was strongly rejected. The woman looked at everyone and felt disgusted. How could she stay here? Gavin ordered the others to bring over a lot of firewood and light a bonfire. There wasn't much else here, but there was a lot of firewood. This was because the first strength realm cultivators could use it when they went in to mine. The night here was very dangerous, but for the 2/4 strength realm cultivators, it was nothing. Everyone else returned to their rooms, and staying in their rooms made them feel at ease. "Sir, do we still need to send people in tomorrow?" Gavin asked. Zichen had been in there for so long, and the chances of him dying were very high. The two people who knew what was inside were naturally aware of this. Even they were afraid of the killing intent, let alone a second strength realm cultivator. The man said, "Send someone in tomorrow. If he doesn't find anything valuable, he'll just go back." The woman next to him played with the long whip in her hand and asked, "Do you have anyone to choose?" "There's one more. He came with Zichen. We can send him in tomorrow." Gavin was, of course, referring to Miao Pengfei. "All right." The man nodded. Suddenly, his expression changed. He turned to look into the distance, and his expression became alert. Gavin didn't find anything, and his expression didn't change much. The man stood up and looked ahead with a cold expression. He shouted, "You're courting death!" A ray of light appeared in his hand, and it fell forward. The ray of light was like a sharp blade, flying forward and cutting through an empty space. Gavin stared ahead, but he didn't see anything. This vanishing shadow beast is indeed difficult to deal with. After the ray of light disappeared, the man said gloomily. With his current strength, he could only see the vanishing shadow beast, but it was extremely difficult to kill it. Fortunately, the vanishing shadow beast had retreated. In the mine, the spirit of slaughter devoured all the killing intent. The crystal in front of Zichen also disappeared. This place became a ruin, and there was no more value. The only thing that was valuable was the killing intent in the crystal. After looking carefully again, Zichen didn't find anything else, so he turned around and left. During this time, he encountered a fork in the road. He walked in again and soon saw a similar crystal. Chapter 5007. The crystals that appeared in front of Zichen did not all contain killing intent. They were pure energy, almost the same as the ones he fished out from the extreme vortex, except that they were much smaller. It seemed that the people here relied on these crystals to survive. Zichen stepped forward and knocked off a piece. He held it in his hand and tried to refine it, but to no avail. He guessed that he needed to break it down, so he tried to put it away, but to no avail. The rules of both sides were somewhat incompatible. If these crystals could be refined directly, then Zichen would not be in a hurry to leave. He would just stay here and wait until he broke through to the third strength realm one day before he left. Since he could not refine them directly, he had to leave. That was because the extreme energy in his body would be used up one day. Zichen did not find any killing intent in this cave, so he retreated and went to the other caves. When he reached the fifth one, he found killing intent again, but it was obviously not as strong as the ones at the beginning. It was absorbed by the slaughter spirit. The next day, when the sky was bright, Gavin ordered someone to call Miao Pengfei out and let him go down to investigate. Miao Pengfei's expression was very ugly, but he did not dare to refuse. Even Zichen, who was so strong, did not dare to resist, let alone him. Under the watchful eyes of the crowd, Miao Pengfei walked in, following Zichen's path. He chose this dangerous path because Miao Pengfei firmly believed that with Zichen's ability and means, the chances of him dying were not high. After going a little deeper, Miao Pengfei saw a light in front of him. Just as his expression changed and he was full of vigilance, Zichen's voice rang out. "Why did you come down?" Hearing Zichen's voice, Miao Pengfei heaved a huge sigh of relief. When he saw Zichen approaching, he could not wait to hug Zichen and give him a big kiss. Zichen was not dead, so he was saved. "Did those three ask you to come down?" Zichen asked as he approached. Miao Pengfei nodded. "If you don't come down, you'll die. That's why I came. I was sure that nothing would happen to you, and it was just as I thought." The two of them began to turn back. Miao Pengfei heard the sound of collisions and was puzzled. "What did you bring?" Zichen said, "The crystals should be what the others need." Zichen was carrying a basket made of tree branches on his back. He had found it in a mine, and it was probably used by other miners. He had put all the crystals he had found into it. After the two of them walked out, the eyes of Gavin and the other two widened. They looked at Zichen as if they were looking at a ghost. "You're still alive?" The man was shocked. The woman was also in disbelief. "After entering, I didn't find any danger, but I did find these things." Zichen walked to the front and put down the basket in his hand. Pieces of crystals appeared one after another. Looking at these crystals, Jia Wen's expression changed as he said, "These crystals aren't low grade." The man didn't care about the grade of the crystals, but he was surprised that Zichen could survive. "You really didn't encounter any danger?" Zichen shook his head and said, "When I first went in, I felt that it was very cold, so I waited for a while. After my body adapted, I continued to go deeper." The woman said disdainfully, "You can adapt to the killing intent?" "It's just that the killing intent disappeared." "What killing intent?" Zichen asked in confusion. "Do I need to tell you?" The woman looked at him with disdain. "You're lucky, kid. It seems that the two of us extinguished all the killing intent before, and when you went in, the killing intent just happened to disappear. That's why you survived." The man nodded, then looked at the crystals in the basket. "Are there more crystals in there?" "Not a lot, but not a little either. It's just that I was in a hurry, so I only found a small portion," Zichen said. "So you didn't look carefully?" The man's eyes gradually turned cold. "You didn't complete the task diligently?" Zichen's expression changed. "It's not that I didn't want to, but some places are very cold, and I couldn't see what was inside, so I didn't dare to go in." "So you came out?" The man's eyes became even colder. "How dare you disobey an order? Do you want to die?" "I wouldn't dare, sir. You misunderstood. I can still go in and explore." Zichen hurriedly said, obviously afraid of the man. "Oh." The man's eyes lit up. "It's very big inside, and I need to bring some firewood in. It should take a long time to explore." Zichen paused when he spoke up to this point. "Then why aren't you going in? Do you want to die?" The woman said impatiently, "Sir, I don't have much extreme energy left. After going in, it will consume a lot of energy. I'm afraid I won't be able to last for more than a few days," Zichen said with a troubled expression. Hearing this, the man immediately looked at Kevin. Kevin didn't quite believe Zichen's words, but he couldn't find any loopholes. He didn't dare to go in and see if it was true or false. Here, Kevin took out 4 strands of energy, which should have been Zichen's reward. Zichen took it and murmured, "I think I can last for another day. I don't know how long I can go in." The man frowned slightly, dissatisfaction on his face. Here, this time, Kevin took out 20 strands of extreme energy and directly gave them to Zichen. Of course, his expression wasn't very good. Zi-Chin smiled and hurriedly thanked him. Kevin snorted coldly. Next, Zi-Chan put down the crystals, put some firewood in a basket, and carried a large bundle into the mine. Miao Pengfei stood in the distance and didn't go in with Zi-Chin. Zi-Chen had clearly said that he could walk faster alone and didn't need others to follow him. After entering the mine again, Zi-Chan lit up a piece of firewood symbolically. Then he carried it and went to the other mines. He was really exploring this mineral vein. Of course, the most important thing was to find the killing intent in it. During this time, after walking through a few more mines, Zi-Chin finally encountered a large-scale killing intent. The slaughter spirit flew out and began to devour to its heart's content. Zi-Chin also made up his mind to stay here for another 5 days. Regardless of whether he could break through in 5 days or whether the slaughter spirit could level up, he had to go out and settle this matter with those 3. Zi-Chan didn't come out, so the 3 waited patiently outside. Time passed day by day, and the 3 clearly became anxious. During this time, Kevin suggested that Miao Pengfei go in and take a look. The man shook his head and didn't agree. Because several days had already passed, it was naturally impossible to meet Zi-Chin again. Let's wait for 6 days. He estimated that with Zi-Chen's energy, he should be able to last for 6 days. On the 5th day, Zi-Chen walked out with the crystals on his back. He's still alive. The 2 spellbreakers were very surprised. This was enough to prove that the danger here had been eliminated. At the same time, there was a large vein underground and they could continue to mine. The 2's mission was completed and they could go back. As for Zi-Chin, he was naturally useless. Chapter 5008. Recently, I really haven't been in the right state of mind. My writing is too bad. I'll stop updating for a few days and wait for the big update before updating again. Thunder Marshall will stop updating for a few days. It is in the middle of updating. Please wait for a moment. After the content is updated, please refresh the page to get the latest update. Chapter 5009. Zi-Chen felt a strong threat and guessed their intentions. He said calmly, "Sir, I found a strange place underground." "What place?" the man asked. "At the end of a mine. It was a little cold and I didn't dare to go too deep, but I tried to throw a torch over. There was a faint reflection of light. It seemed to be a large crystal." Zi-Chen gestured with his hands. "It was about this big, about 2 feet wide. It's just a piece of broken crystal. What's so strange about it?" The woman said indifferently, her eyes cold. Zi-Chen scratched his head and said, "I've heard that some weapons come from crystals. Since it's such a large piece of crystal, there might be something inside it. Of course, I'm just guessing because I don't dare to go there." "Really?" The man looked at Zi-Chen. Zi-Chen immediately shook his head. "I'm just guessing. I don't take it seriously." Gavin stared at Zi-Chen's eyes. He didn't believe Zi-Chen's words and seemed to want to see if it was true or not. The man's eyes gradually turned cold. Zi-Chen hurriedly explained again. "Sir, I really can't be sure if there's really something inside. Lead the way." The man snorted and a cold, murderous intent flashed in his eyes. "If you dare to lie to me, you know the consequences." I wouldn't dare." Zi-Chen went back to get some firewood and carried it in the basket behind him. "Let's go together." The man looked at the woman beside him. Although the woman was very tempted, she shook her head. She had already obtained a weapon when she came here, and it was very handy to use. If there was really a weapon inside, she wouldn't mind getting another one. However, she wasn't used to the environment. It was damp and dark, making her feel nauseous. "I'll wait for you here." Zi-Chin came out with the firewood and happened to hear the man's words. He was very surprised, but he didn't show it. He thought that the 2 of them would go in together. After all, if there was a crisis, they could take care of each other. What Zi-Chen didn't know was that because he didn't die after going in for a few days, the 2 of them subconsciously thought that there was no danger here. Before going down, Zi-Chen looked at Gavin. Gavin frowned. "Why are you looking at me? Isn't it enough that you have an adult accompanying you?" "I'm running out of energy here," Zi-Chen said. This was what they relied on to survive. Humph! Gavin snorted and took out 8 more strands of energy. In fact, he only wanted to give 2 strands of energy, but considering that Zi-Chen would definitely not be able to come out after going in, he decided to give a few more strands to prevent Zi-Chen from suddenly going back on his word or playing some other tricks. Zi-Chen took the power and walked towards the mine. The man followed behind and signaled for the woman to wait. After entering the mine, Zi-Chen lit a torch and began to descend. The man followed behind and said indifferently, "Are you sure you can still find it?" "Yes, I have a mark." Following the direction of Zi-Chen's finger, the man saw some markings. Zi-Chen turned left and right in the mine. The entire cave was dimly lit. The man followed behind and occasionally urged him to ask how much longer it would take. Finally, Zi-Chen pointed ahead and said, "My lord, it's here!" A cold, murderous intent flashed in the man's eyes. "My lord, follow me." But before he could do anything, Zi-Chen quickly walked forward. After entering the mine, Zi-Chen exclaimed, "My lord, come and see, there's really something good." When the man heard the voice, he quickly followed and appeared in this place. He saw a large number of crystals, but with the appearance of the crystals, there was also a cold, murderous intent. Pa! 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 The crystals broke, and the murderous intent surged, heading straight for the man. The man's expression changed drastically, and he shouted angrily, "How dare you scheme against me? You're courting death!" But when he turned around again, he couldn't see Zi-Chen anymore. Damn it! He cursed, turned around, and ran. Just as he reached the entrance of the cave, he saw a light coming from ahead. It was Zi-Chen holding the bone staff and attacking with all his might. At the same time, he also saw Zi-Chen's shining eyes. This made the man shocked and angry, and he could only use all his strength to attack forward. Behind him was a terrifying, murderous intent, and he didn't dare to stay here. He only dashed forward. As long as he left this place, Zi-Chen would die. After colliding with the bone staff, a powerful shock wave shook the man's body. His forward momentum was blocked, and Zi-Chen flew backward. A powerful force came from the bone staff. After all, there was a difference of 2 forces between them. "Ah!" The man let out a scream. Because of the short pause, the murderous intent surged. He glanced behind him and then continued to run. At this moment, a strong murderous intent suddenly appeared. Puff! It was the massacre spirit. Like a stream of light, it instantly pierced through the man's head. After being hit by the massacre spirit, the man didn't die, but he became extremely weak. At this moment, Zi-Chen, who had flipped himself up, struck down a second time. He used 2 forces to the extreme, and this staff was his most powerful attack. At this moment, Zi-Chen's eyes were cold, and his murderous intent was boundless. If his opponent didn't die, he would die. This was a fight for his life. "Get lost!" The man shouted and punched again, for forces exploded. Boom! The powerful shock wave sent Zi-Chen flying again. The difference in strength between the two was too great. At the same time, Zi-Chen was glad that only one of the 2 4-forces state cultivators came. The man stopped again, and this time he even took 2 steps back. More murderous intent swept over from behind. At the same time, the massacre spirit was among them. With a puff, it pierced through the man's heart. Zi-Chen flipped himself up and retreated at lightning speed. The massacre spirit followed him out, but it didn't devour the murderous intent. At this moment, the murderous intent had surrounded the man. Ah! A blood-curdling scream was heard, and the man's life was quickly draining away. Zi-Chen stood on the other side of the cave, listening carefully to the movements inside. After feeling the murderous intent disappear, Zichen walked in with the bone staff. He saw the man's body turn into a crystal and start to disappear. There was still a part of the murderous intent left, and it was devoured by the massacre spirit. You asked for it. Zichen's expression was cold, and he started to turn back. Since the man was dead, it was the woman's turn. After the previous battle, he knew the difference between the two of them, so he couldn't fight head-on. Zichen started to turn back, and when he was about to reach the cave, he suddenly cried for help. "Help, help me. There's a murderous intent, a terrifying murderous intent. Sir's dead, save me. I don't want to die." His voice sounded very mournful and terrified, and it spread to the outside. "Sir is dead, and the murderous intent is chasing after him. Save him!" Kevin, who was still waiting outside, heard Zichen's cry, and his face suddenly changed. Of course, he wouldn't save him, and he planned to turn and run. Chapter 50:10. Gavin was stunned. He thought the other party would go in and take a look. Even if she didn't go in herself, she should send someone else to check the situation. But she didn't. After hearing Zichen's last words, the other party turned and ran. Even Gavin couldn't compare to her decisiveness. Gavin followed. "Sir, what about here?" "Forget it. Wait for the order." The woman's figure was already far away. She didn't want to stay here for a moment longer. Seeing this, the others were all dumbfounded. They didn't know whether to run or not. Miao Pengfei was stunned. He couldn't believe that Zichen was dead just like that. He had a feeling that something was wrong. "Run." The leader, Ogre, ran. There was danger everywhere. There was also an unusual situation in the mineral vein. Gavin and the Spellbreaker had run away. If they continued to stay here, they would definitely die. As soon as Ogre moved, the others followed. Miao Pengfei was left behind, standing there hesitantly. He didn't believe that Zichen was dead. Even if he was really dead, the bone staff should still be there. It was an amazing weapon. Should he go in and pick it up? But what if there was danger inside? He would die if he went in. Miao Pengfei fell into hesitation. "Let's go." Miao Pengfei also ran. Obviously, his life was more important. However, after running for a while, he turned back and returned. The road ahead was long, and he could die at any time. Instead of being in a precarious situation, he might as well go in and take a gamble. Whether Zichen was dead or not, he wouldn't be at a disadvantage if he turned back. After returning, Miao Pengfei took some firewood and went into the cave. After lighting the firewood, he began to go down, carefully checking the surroundings. Zichen had been waiting in the cave. He wanted to ambush the woman, but she didn't appear. Instead, he saw Miao Pengfei. "Why did you come down? Where are they?" Zichen's voice was so sudden that Miao Pengfei was startled and almost threw the firewood in his hand. "I knew you weren't dead." Seeing Zichen in front of him, Miao Pengfei was excited. "Did they ask you to come down?" Zichen looked at Miao Pengfei. "No, they all ran away. I was sure you weren't dead, so I followed you." Miao Pengfei said, "What about that guy? Is he dead?" Zichen nodded. Miao Pengfei exhaled and said, "This place is too dangerous. There's no good person here. If I had known earlier, I would have stayed where I was." Miao Pengfei had just arrived, and he had already offended someone for no apparent reason. Furthermore, he had almost been tricked to death. Miao Pengfei was clearly very depressed. Did they really run away? Zichen was still a little worried. "They've all run away. Not a single one is left." Miao Pengfei placed the firewood at the side. "I think this place will be completely abandoned." Zichen felt relieved. He had been thinking about how to fight with his life on the line, but now it seemed that there was no need for that. "You didn't leave with us, so you can only stay here." Zichen looked at Miao Pengfei and said, "Can you still hold on with your strength?" "When I run out of strength, I'll go out to hunt the law-breaking beasts." Miao Pengfei was very open-minded. If Chen died, he could get the bone rod and his chances of survival would be higher. If he didn't die, following Chen would be better than following those people. After all, Chen could see the annihilating shadow beasts. Chen had obviously guessed Miao Pengfei's intentions for coming back, but he didn't say anything. If he really died, the thing would naturally be left to the fated person. "What's inside?" Miao Pengfei asked. He was actually curious about how Chen had killed the law-breaking beast. "There's killing intent. It's very scary. It's sealed in the crystal." Chen simply explained what had happened. He didn't say a word about the killing spirit. "They've already left. There's no point in us staying here any longer. We might as well wait outside." Miao Pengfei said, "It's dark here. We can't see anything. The buildings outside are all empty. It's safer to stay there than here." Chen had no objections. The two of them walked out of the cave. Although there were many crystals here, Chen couldn't exchange them for extreme energy, so he had to go out eventually. He had already made up his mind. He would only leave when he broke through to the Three Forces realm. In the meantime, he would stay here. The two of them had just walked to the cave entrance when Miao Pengfei's expression suddenly changed. He stopped moving forward. Chen followed and saw the abnormality in front. "You really didn't die." Kevin was standing outside the cave entrance with his men. He seemed to be waiting for the two of them to come out. "How do you know I'm not dead?" Chen looked at Kevin. Miao Pengfei was also puzzled. He didn't know what went wrong. "It was so dangerous earlier. This idiot didn't run with us. There's obviously a problem." Kevin did run earlier, but halfway there, he realized that Miao Pengfei didn't follow him. This made him suspicious, so he turned around and came back. He didn't expect that he would really see him. The others also looked at Chen in surprise. Since he didn't die, the Four Forces Realm Cultivator was obviously dead. Chen was just a Two Forces Realm Cultivator. How did he do it? Chen's eyes flashed with murderous intent. "Since you know I'm not dead, how dare you?" Before he could finish, Chen suddenly grabbed Miao Pengfei and shouted, "Let's go!" The two of them quickly entered the cave. As soon as they disappeared, a ray of light came from the side and whizzed past. It was the woman's long whip that swept over. Obviously, it wasn't just Kevin who didn't run. The woman also came back. Chen pulled Miao Pengfei and immediately ran toward the cave. "Chase after him!" Kevin was very regretful that the other party had failed. However, he obviously couldn't let Chen escape now. But as he waved his hand, the others hesitated and didn't immediately chase after him. Chen could even kill a Four Forces Realm Cultivator in the mine, let alone them. Looking at the timid look of the others, Kevin couldn't help but feel a touch of anger on his face. At this moment, Chen's voice suddenly sounded from inside. "You too, I'll wait for you inside." As soon as the sentence came out, Kevin, who was about to rush in, suddenly stopped. Slap, slap. The woman walked over, picked up the long whip, and hit the cave a few times. At this moment, her face was full of annoyance. Kevin was also very annoyed. He had guessed that Chen might be alive, so he asked the woman to hide in the dark. As long as Chen appeared, she would kill him. Unfortunately, the woman disliked the smell of the others and refused to come close, so they missed the best opportunity to kill Chen. Now that Chen had run in, who would dare to go in? When Chen shouted for help at the cave entrance, it was obvious that he wanted to lure the two of them in to kill him. Although Kevin didn't understand what was going on, he really didn't dare to go in now. Of course, the woman didn't dare either. Otherwise, she wouldn't have run away before. "Just wait here. When he comes out, we'll kill him directly." Chapter 5011. Chen and Miao Pengfei ran into the cave again and went deeper and deeper. Miao Pengfei was ashamed. If he had not exposed his weakness, those people would have left and Ziqin would not be in danger. Now that the road was blocked, it seemed that death was the only thing left. After entering the depths of the mine, Ziqin stopped. I'm sorry I dragged you into this. Miao Pengfei looked guilty. It's okay, I'm not dead yet. Ziqin smiled and did not seem to care, but he knew that this was indeed troublesome. After this incident, that woman obviously would not come in, and Ziqin had no way to kill her. If she kept waiting there, what awaited him and Miao Pengfei might really be death. What's more, there was not only a woman in the 4th strength state outside, but also a 3rd strength state Gavin, which was also a great problem. If the woman could come in, Ziqin certainly had a way to kill her. Unfortunately, she could not come in, so the killing intent here could not restrain her, unless he could take it out. Suddenly, Ziqin's expression changed slightly, and a thought flashed through his mind. The woman obviously would not come in, so what if he went out with the killing intent? The killing intent was sealed in the crystal. After Ziqin's investigation, not all the killing intent would explode as soon as it got close. Some of it needed to be guided by force. If he brought this part of the killing intent out, would he be able to kill the other party? Ziqin's heart moved, and he had an idea. He turned to look at Miao Pengfei and asked, "Do you still have energy in your body?" Miao Pengfei nodded. "Yes, how much do you want?" "Next, you can act freely. I have a way to kill them." "What way?" Miao Pengfei looked a little excited. The 4th strength state warrior died under the killing intent. I just need to find some crystals with killing intent, and I can probably kill them. Ziqin looked at Miao Pengfei. However, I'm not sure which crystals with killing intent will not explode directly, so you need to act on your own or keep a distance from me so that you can escape when danger comes. I'd better follow you from afar. Miao Pengfei thought for a while and said he was not familiar with this place, and he could only survive if he followed Ziqin. Ziqin heard and shook his head. "No, you'd better not follow me, because once the killing intent appears, you will definitely die. How about this, you stay here. If you feel anything strange outside, run deeper and remember to call for me at the same time." This method was obviously the most reliable. This place was safe enough, but if they went deeper, it would be hard to say. Just like the first time when he came in, when he turned his head, there was some killing intent behind him. Once he encountered it, he would definitely die. If he knew it, he would not be able to kill him. He would be able to kill. Ses's way, if he could kill him and he would have killed, he would have could kill him. Therefore, he was very clear about this kind of thing. He nodded and stopped here. "If there is no energy, you can call for me," Ziqin said before he went deeper. "But I will come back in about 24 hours. Okay, be careful." The two parted ways, and Ziqin walked into the depths of the forest with ease. When he sensed killing intent, he would take out the slaughter spirit, but he did not allow it to take the initiative to attack. The area was very large and there were many mines. Even until now, Ziqin had not explored all of them. Ziqin even guessed that this place might lead to other places. If there was no other way, he would try to explore one cave after another until he found another exit. However, this method consumed too much energy. He could persevere, but Miao Pengfei might not. There were many crystals with killing intent, but most of them would break on their own when Ziqin arrived, and the killing intent filled the air. With the slaughter spirit, Ziqin was not afraid, and all the killing intent was easily absorbed. Searching among the many crystals, Ziqin finally found a piece of killing intent that had not exploded. It was a palm-sized crystal. The killing intent contained in it was very strong, and it looked like a sapphire. Ziqin took it down and then piled it aside. He did not immediately put it away. 2 days later, he collected 5 spar, but he still didn't bring them out with him. Instead, he left them here. This was just in case. He went back to see Miao Pengfei. After the other party told him that there was no abnormality here, Ziqin left again and continued to collect. This time the speed was much faster. In just one day, he found 6 pieces of killing intent crystals. 6 days had passed. I knew it. That guy is very cunning. He must have a lot of inventory on him. Gavin, who was waiting outside, saw that the two had not come out for so long, and he was very depressed. His gaze swept to the distance, and the woman once again put some distance between them. Although he did not dare to say it out loud, he still had a lot of complaints in his heart. If it were not for the woman being unreasonable, Zichen would have been dead. Now, he did not know how long he would have to wait. Most importantly, even if Zichen died in there, no one would know. His gaze swept to the side. Those people were all waiting at the side. Even if they were allowed to go in, they would not even be used as cannon fodder. Just as he was about to curse in frustration, a ray of light suddenly shot out from the entrance of the cave. It was Zichen. Both sides looked at each other and were stunned. "You guys are really persistent," Zichen said. His eyes were full of sarcasm, and he was holding crystals in his left and right hands. "Zichen, how dare you come out?" Gavin shouted. On one hand, he was reminding the woman, and on the other hand, he was stalling for time. The woman flew over, and the long whip in her hand danced. The 2 crystals in Zichen's hands flew out. The moment they touched the long whip, they exploded. In an instant, a cold, murderous intent filled the air. Sensing the aura, the woman's face changed drastically, and she quickly retreated. "You can't run away." Zichen smiled coldly. The basket behind him was full of murderous intent crystals. He took them out one by one and threw them over. Pa! 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 The crystals emitted light, and just as they were about to reach the 2 of them, they exploded. In an instant, boundless murderous intent filled the air. The woman screamed and retreated. Her eyes were full of fear. Gavin was even more frightened. He was only in the 3rd realm, and after being touched by the murderous intent, 2 holes appeared on his body. He turned and ran, but then he realized that the woman was 1 step faster than him. He cursed in his heart. She was indeed useless. Every time she ran the fastest. As for the others, they were fleeing frantically. One of them ran too slowly and was hit by the murderous intent. His chest and back were instantly pierced by the murderous intent. He did not have Gavin's vitality, so he fell to the ground and died. Zichen did not intend to kill the others. They could only blame it on their bad luck. Chapter 50:12. Zichen stood there, and there were still more than 20 killing intent crystals behind him. The killing intent from before had completely dissipated after the brief attack. The woman was only slightly injured, and she quickly ran away without looking back. Kevin's injuries were not light, but his life should not be in danger. He was refining the energy while running. Ogre and the others also ran away. It was too dangerous here, and they did not dare to stay, even if Zichen had no intention of killing them. One of the unlucky ones died. In Zichen's field of vision, everyone's figures had completely disappeared. This time they had completely run away, and the possibility of them turning back was not high. After a while, Miao Pengfei quietly poked his head out of the cave. When he saw the empty surroundings, he was shocked at first, and then a smile appeared on his face. "That thing really works?" Miao Pengfei asked. Zichen nodded. "Do you want to try?" Miao Pengfei shook his head. When Zichen carried the things out, he had deliberately avoided them. Of course, he did not dare to try it now. Everyone had run away, and the 2 of them were safe. Whether it was Zichen or Miao Pengfei, they were greatly relieved. The only problem now was that the 2 of them could not convert the crystals into energy. Otherwise, they could always stay here and wait for their realm to increase again before leaving. That night, Zichen and Miao Pengfei stayed outside and lit a bonfire, waiting for the law-breaking beast to come. If they did not have enough extreme energy, the 2 of them would not be able to survive here. As for Kevin and the others, after running away, they never came back, because no matter whether they could swallow their anger or not, they could not go back to that place. Going back meant death. That woman ran even faster. Because of her realm, she disappeared in the blink of an eye. She did not appear again after that. After running for half a day, Kevin stopped when the sky was about to turn dark. Damn it! The others went to look for firewood, but Kevin stayed where he was, cursing angrily. Ronald, that bastard. Why did you have to offend him? Ronald had been killed by Zichin, but the conflict still existed. If he had not provoked Zichin and caused trouble for no reason, none of this would have happened today. Now, even a fourth-strength realm cultivator had run away. What could he, a mere third-strength realm cultivator, change? The problem now was not whether he could escape, but what if Zichin caught up with him? That crystal that contained killing intent was really too terrifying. He had only been attacked by a single killing intent, and his body had already been pierced through. What would happen if there were a few more? Damn it! Gavin was furious. Now he could only pin his hopes on that asterisk to Sage. If she went back to get reinforcements, it would not be difficult to kill Zichin. But if she ran back in fear and never came out again, then he would be in danger. The possibility of this happening was very high. Augusto and the others returned with some firewood. After lighting it up, everyone gathered here. Gavin was depressed and did not speak. The others were also silent. This situation continued until one of them suddenly died. The others cried out in alarm and immediately extinguished the flames, guarding their surroundings. The invisible but deadly vanishing shadow beast appeared again. Even Gavin was afraid of such an existence. They were on tenterhooks the whole night. When the sky brightened up, everyone started running. Obviously, no one wanted to come to this place again. Zichin and Miao Pengfei did not encounter any vanishing shadow beasts that night. They did not even encounter any spell-breaker beasts. This disappointed the two of them. According to Zichen's plan, they would first kill a few spell-breaker beasts. After accumulating enough energy, they would enter the mine to look for killing intent crystals. When they had filled up a basket full of killing intent crystals, they would turn back. They didn't find anything that night. During the day, Zichen went into the mine alone. However, it wasn't easy for him to go deeper into the mine in just one day. When the sky darkened, Zichen had almost no gains. At night, the two of them lit a bonfire and waited here. That night, the two of them found 5 spellbreaker beasts. One was in the second force realm, while the others were in the first force realm. After killing them, the two of them went straight into the mine before dawn. Because Miao Pengfei was with Zichin, he was not afraid. Zichin stayed in the depths for a full 10 days before he found enough killing intent crystals. He carried these crystals on his back and came out. It was a huge basket with about $200 in it. After doing this, the two of them did not have much energy left, so they walked out of the mine. Then the two of them went back the way they came. While moving forward, Miao Pengfei and Zichin kept a distance of 200 feet. This was because they were worried that the killing intent crystals would suddenly explode. At night, Zichin put the basket not far away. The two of them stayed together. Miao Pengfei did not rest and was mainly responsible for keeping watch. Zichin sat cross-legged and cultivated. During this time, he could also recover some of his energy. This way, he would consume less energy. Suddenly, Zichin opened his eyes and looked ahead. He saw the shadow again. He frowned slightly and signaled Miao Pengfei to come back. Miao Pengfei did not understand and retreated to Zichen's side. He saw Zichin grab a crystal and throw it at the shadow. Bang! The moment it got close to the shadow, the crystal exploded. The killing intent contained in it seemed to have sensed the shadow's existence and instantly pierced its body. Whoosh! Whoosh! After piercing its body back and forth twice, the killing intent disappeared. The shadow did not suffer any substantial damage, but the appearance of the killing intent seemed to be beyond its expectations. It slowly retreated. What was that? Miao Pengfei asked. He did not see anything. A vanishing shadow beast. Ziqin did not hide. Miao Pengfei was shocked. Unfortunately, he could not see what a vanishing shadow beast was. At the same time, he was very lucky to be following Ziqin in this unknown place. Otherwise, with his strength, he would not have been able to survive until now. Not long after, a law-breaking beast appeared. Ziqin did not waste the killing intent crystals. He directly rushed up with the bone staff. After a violent beating, he obtained more than 10 rays of extreme energy. After that, there was no more danger. The two continued their journey the next day. Because he did not know much about this place, Ziqin's target was the place where he had just arrived. He wanted to find Gavin. He was already in the second force realm. With these killing intent crystals, killing Gavin was not a problem at all. After a few days, Ziqin and Miao Pengfei finally returned. Along the way, many people cast sidelong glances at the two. You two idiots are still alive. Boudica saw the two and was very surprised. He was the one who had arranged for the two to go out. Where's Gavin? Ziqin asked directly. His tone was not polite. How dare you call His Excellency by his name? Do you know? Before Boudica could finish his words, Ziqin's palm landed. Buzz. Chapter 5013. Wang. Energy vibrated as countless threads crisscrossed and slashed across Boudica's body. Boudica was the leader of a small team. As a second-strength realm cultivator, he might not be strong, but he had many second-strength realm subordinates. The others looked over. They were surprised to see that Boudica did not retaliate against the attack. Just as everyone was confused, they saw Boudica's body disintegrate and disappear. There was an uproar in the distance. Boudica died just like that? Miao Pengfei was also shocked. Fortunately, he was more experienced than the others and did not lose his composure. The others stood in the distance and were all shocked. Ziqin, who was surrounded by second-strength realm cultivators and carrying a basket of crystals, looked around. Where's Kevin? Kevin was the most powerful person here. No one dared to respond when Ziqin called his name. Kevin, get out here. Ziqin shouted again. With so many killing intent crystals, he was not afraid even if a fourth-strength realm cultivator came. Naturally, he was not afraid of Kevin, who was only a third-strength realm cultivator. Kevin, get out here. Ziqin's voice spread around. He saw that many people had left quietly. They must have gone to find Kevin. Soon, many second-strength realm cultivators surrounded them. There were dozens of them. Their gazes were unfriendly. It was obvious that they did not come with good intentions. Ziqin glanced at Miao Pengfei, and the latter immediately retreated. The two of them had already discussed that Miao Pengfei would retreat immediately if anything went wrong. Where's Kevin? Tell him to get out here. Ziqin shouted again. Who do you think you are? How dare you call the Lord that? A second-strength realm cultivator said indifferently. These people had obviously seen how Ziqin killed Boudica. Even if they did not see it, they should have heard about it. They still dared to come because they had the advantage of numbers. Kid, kneel down and apologize to the Lord. That's right. Kneel down now, and the Lord might spare you. Reckless fool. Don't you know where you are? How dare you make such a big fuss here? The level 2 warriors came from all directions. Their eyes were cold, and they all held wooden weapons in their hands. Gavin, it seems that you want them to die. Ziqin spun in a circle and looked around. However, I'm not as ruthless as you. I'll give you a chance to live. If you don't want to die, back off. What a joke. Do you think we're so easily frightened? A second-level warrior sneered. The others also roared with laughter. Naturally, no one stepped back. There was no reason for a group of people to lose against one person. The former guide, Ogre, stood in the crowd. When he saw this scene, his eyes were filled with pity. These idiots didn't know that the Lord they were talking about didn't see them as humans at all. These people were all cannon fodder to test Zi-Chen's strength. Sure enough, Zi-Chen wasn't a pushover. After reminding him once, he took out a crystal from behind him and threw it forward. 2 pieces at a time. He quickly threw them in 4 different directions. The crystals exploded with popping sounds, and the killing intent within them surged out. As it approached, the killing intent found its way to the second realm cultivators. Pooh! Pooh! The killing intent was extremely terrifying. It instantly penetrated their bodies. The smile on the face of the second strength realm cultivator who was pierced by the killing intent instantly turned into fear. He screamed and retreated. Pa! 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 Zi-Chen had brought over 200 crystals. This was his first time using them, so he wasn't afraid of using them up. He threw out another 12 crystals. In an instant, the killing intent filled the air. Almost all the second realm cultivators at the front were hit. There were even 3 people who couldn't dodge in time. Their heads were pierced, and they fell to the ground, dead. When the others saw this, they frantically retreated. They were terrified. When the crowd saw the crystals in the basket behind Zi-Chen, they were all shocked. They didn't expect the crystals to be so terrifying. In the blink of an eye, everyone retreated. Those who were too slow were already dead. Zi-Chen held 2 crystals in his hands and looked around. I told you that Gavin wanted you to die, but none of you believed me. Zi-Chen looked at the crowd and said, "Tell me where Gavin is. These things are prepared for him. They're enough to kill him 10 times over." When the crowd heard this, their faces changed again. Almost subconsciously, many people looked in a certain direction. In that direction, Gavin was standing with a few second realm cultivators. When he saw so many people looking at him, his face immediately turned ugly. When Zi-Chen saw Gavin, he sneered and walked forward. When the crowd saw this action, their expressions changed and they all stepped back. This included the small leaders who were standing with Gavin. At this moment, they also retreated. "Zi-Chen, what are you doing?" Gavin saw Zi-Chen approaching and pretended to be calm. Zi-Chen's answer was 2 crystals. Gavin's face changed immediately and he quickly retreated. "You can't kill me. If you kill me, there will be no more representatives here. Everyone will die." The 2 crystals fell to the ground, but they didn't explode. Gavin retreated 10 feet away. When he saw this, he couldn't help but be stunned. However, when he saw the playful look on Zi-Chen's face, he knew that he had been fooled. If it was any other time, whoever dared to fool him would have to pay with their lives. However, today, facing Zi-Chen, he didn't dare to express his anger. The others coveted the 2 crystals on the ground, but Zi-Chen was moving forward. No one dared to pick them up at this time. Zi-Chen picked up the 2 crystals and said, "If I kill you, I will be the representative." "It's different. There are many things to deal with." "You won't be able to complete them," Gavin said. "If you keep me alive, everything will run smoothly. The people inside won't pursue the matter. Once I die, everything will stop working. If the people inside pursue the matter, no one will be able to live, including you." A cold light flashed in Zi-Chen's eyes. "Are you threatening me?" I wouldn't dare," Gavin hurriedly said. "I'm telling the truth." At this stage, there was no need to put on airs. If he still put on airs, he would die. After that B*TCH went back, there was no movement. Apparently, she was really afraid and didn't dare to come out again. Regarding the matter of the mineral vein, Gavin once again reported it, but there was no reply from the higher-ups. Now that Zi-Chen had returned, he could only calm Zi-Chen down. "What does it have to do with me, whether this place operates or not?" Zichen acted as if he was going to throw the crystals out again. It has to do with you. Of course it has to do with you. Gavin hurriedly said, From now on, you are the Lord here. You are the Lord of everyone. I will hand over all the gains to you. For example, Zichen looked at Gavin. Now, these powers belong to you, my lord. Gavin flipped his hand, and more than 30 streams of power appeared. Zichen looked at him with a faint smile. Gavin flipped his hand again. This time, more than 100 streams of extreme energy floated in front of him. Bring them to me. Chapter 50:14. The two-strength realm cultivator was stunned. He did not expect Zichen to order him to get the energy. Gavin's eyes changed slightly, but he did not say anything. What are you waiting for? Zichen glared at him. The two-strength realm cultivator had no choice but to walk toward Gavin. Gavin glanced at him and gave him the energy. The two-strength realm cultivators walked over and gave the energy to Zichen. This was to prevent Gavin from attacking him at close range. Of course, Zichen was not afraid. He just did not want to expose too much too early. When Zichen put away the energy, he left two for the two-strength realm cultivators. The two-strength realm cultivator was stunned. He immediately thanked Gavin and stepped back. Gavin's eyes flashed with a strange light, but he did not say anything. Now that his life was saved, it was time to do other things. The others looked at Zichen with envy, especially when they saw the crystals. They did not know where he found a basket of crystals and used them to ride on Gavin's head. Gavin, who was at 3-strength realm, was the undisputed #1 person here. His job was the most profitable. Zichen had become his master. He did not need to do anything in the future and would receive an endless supply of extreme energy. After giving the energy to Zichen, Gavin took Zichen to find a place to stay. It was relatively close to the city. According to Gavin, even if the law-breaking beast attacked, there would be people outside to hold it off. During this time, Gavin occasionally glanced behind Zichen. There were many killing, intent crystals that were emitting a bright light. Do you want them? Zichen glanced at Gavin. No. Gavin shook his head. Naturally, he did not dare to admit it. Zichen returned to his room and began to cultivate. He knew that powerful combat power was the foundation of everything. That night, there was a knock on the door. Miao Pengfei walked in. The room was very big. Zichen walked out and looked at Miao Pengfei. He asked, No one gave you a hard time, right? Miao Pengfei shook his head and said, No, everyone knows that we came back together. After seeing me, they were quite polite. Miao Pengfei closed the door and sat down beside Zichen. I asked about the situation here. There are at least dozens of places like this. With Pofa City as the center, all cultivators below the second force realm were gathered here. Only those who have reached the 3-strengths realm are qualified to enter Shattering Law City. Zichen listened silently. He took out 50 strands of strength and placed them on the table in front of him. This is... Seeing this, Miao Pengfei was shocked and looked at Zichen in shock. Take this power and think of a way to leave this place, Zichen said in a deep voice. While my deterrence is still present, find another way out. You're leaving? Miao Pengfei asked. Zichen had only become the leader today. Zichen said, No matter how bad this place is, it's still a place with many rules. Jia Wen was able to become the strongest person here, not only because of his 3-strengths realm strength, but also because of many conflicts of interest. My appearance has disrupted this situation. Zichen was very clear about this. After all, he had lived for countless years and had seen too many schemes. He knew very well what Gavin was thinking, but he did not care about his little scheme because Zichen had his own ideas as well. So, sooner or later there will be problems. You have to take advantage of this time, when no one dares to provoke you, to find another way out. Zichen gave the power to Miao Pengfei. You leave first, I'll go later. Miao Pengfei hesitated and took the power. The reason why the two of them came back was because the outside world wasn't peaceful, and they didn't have enough extreme energy. So he knew how precious this kind of life item was. Don't contact me for the time being. Taking advantage of the night, Miao Pengfei left. During the day, he had already asked around. As long as it wasn't a large-scale siege, no spell-breaking beasts would dare to come here. After all, there were many people living here. As for the vanishing shadow beasts, they wouldn't appear either. When the sky brightened, Ziqin walked out of the room with the crystals on his back and strolled around. Everywhere he went, everyone looked at him and seemed to feel that he was different. Ziqin went to find Jiawen. When Jiawen saw Ziqin, he tactfully went up and greeted him. Then he took out more than 100 streams of energy. Ziqin put them away calmly, but he was still very surprised. Jiawen could get so much energy every day. After accumulating for a long time, it would definitely be a terrifying number. In the next few days, Ziqin went to find Jiawen every day, as if he really treated himself as Jiawen's boss. Jiawen was very tactful. Every time Ziqin came, he would take out different amounts of extreme energy, but each time he would take out more than 100 extreme energy. Even if Ziqin continuously refined the energy, he wouldn't be able to refine it all in a short time. Of course, every time Ziqin went to find Jiawen, he would bring the basket of killing intent crystals with him. This was also the reason why he was so powerful that he could intimidate everyone. It was the safest to stay by his side. Otherwise, it would be stolen. Every time he passed by, many people would look behind him with strange looks in their eyes. Today, Ziqin left as usual. A small leader asked, "Sir, are we just going to give him the resources?" Jiawen said, "There's no other way. You saw the power of those crystals behind him. It's really terrifying. But no matter what, he's only in the second force state." "Can't we?" The small leader wiped his neck. "Forget it. It's not easy for everyone to survive. There's no need to add too many casualties." "Sir, you're so kind." Unlike that guy, he killed so many people as soon as he came. Jiawen smiled faintly and didn't say anything else. All he had to do was give out some energy, and he could survive. Why not? Moreover, if Ziqin really thought that he had defeated him, he would be courting death. 2 days later, Jiawen took the initiative to find Ziqin and gave the energy to Ziqin. During this time, he stood outside Ziqin's room and looked into the room from time to time. Ziqin was worried that the other party was playing tricks on him, so he withdrew the energy and returned to his room. The killing intent crystals were still there. Jiawen left, but he didn't go back. Instead, he went in the direction of Shattering Lost City. When he arrived outside the city, there was no city gate, only a space-time passage. Jiawen didn't go in, but waited here. Not everyone was qualified to enter. About 2 hours later, an existence surrounded by 4 different types of energy walked out from inside. "Sir, there's no more energy this time." Looking at the person, Jiawen said directly, The person glanced at Jiawen and a cold light flashed in his eyes. "Do you want to die?" "Sir, please listen to my explanation." A second realm warrior called Ziqin came. He carried a basket of crystals on his back, and the crystals contained a terrifying killing intent. After he appeared, he killed many people and stole my position, as well as all the energy I prepared for you. The man's expression suddenly changed, and he said, "What did you say? That person has the killing intent?" P.S. Yesterday, he had a small operation in 2 places. After the anesthetic wore off, the pain was unbearable, and he couldn't sit still. He even started to doubt his life. After gritting his teeth and writing 2 new chapters, Lei Wu couldn't write anymore. He felt a little better today. Chapter 5015. There was no update today, but it would be updated tomorrow. Thunder Marshal was not updated today. Please wait for a moment. After the content is updated, Please refresh the page to get the latest update. Chapter 5016. Looking at the Lord's sharp eyes, Kevin was startled. He did not know what a killing crystal was. Is it a killing crystal? The man asked again, looking anxious. What's a killing crystal? Kevin asked in return, confused. The fourth-level man was enraged. His eyes flashed coldly. Are you messing with me? Lord, I really don't know what a killing crystal is. Kevin looked wronged. He then explained the situation of the crystals in detail. Oh, right that. He wanted to say the name of the spellbreaker, but he realized that the B*TCH did not tell him the exact name because she despised them. Let's go. Bring me there. The man could not wait. A killing crystal was very important. It was a special crystal that was hard to find and was very precious. He did not expect someone to carry a basket of them to play outside the city. Kevin hesitated. The man glanced at him and thought that he was unwilling to lead the way. His eyes turned extremely cold. Kevin felt the murderous intent in the man's eyes and immediately explained, Don't misunderstand, Lord. It's not that I don't want to bring you there. It's just that if the two of us go, we won't be able to return. There was a spell breaker last time. He did not know the name of the spell breaker. He could only tell the Lord what the spell breaker looked like and what happened. Hearing this, the man was enraged. He's just a second level. How dare he attack me? That guy is a bumpkin. He only cares about resources and not people. He already killed a spell breaker. Kevin reminded him, kindly, Lord, this is just a precaution. Kevin obviously did not care about the life or death of this lord. He was even happy to see him killed by Zichin. However, if Zichin killed someone this time, he might be implicated. It would be difficult for him to escape. Therefore, he did not dare to take this risk. Once he attacked, he had to kill. Wait here. The man turned and walked back. When he entered the space tunnel, he took out a token. The token glowed and covered his body. That token was equivalent to a ticket to enter the city. Gavin once had the opportunity to obtain one, but he gave up. Compared to inside, his life outside would be much more comfortable. We need at least 3 to ensure that nothing goes wrong. He calculated in his mind that Zichin would definitely die under the siege of 3/4 strength state martial artists. Not long after, the man came out, but there was only one person beside him. The energy surrounding the other person was also at the 4th strength state. Gavin was stunned when he saw the two of them. Why are you in a daze? Hurry up and lead the way. The man's face was filled with dissatisfaction. My lord, are there only 2 people? 2 people can't deal with a mere second force state. The other party said coldly, Cut the crap and lead the way. Kevin had a helpless look on his face. They had never seen Zichin before, so they really didn't know how difficult it was to deal with that guy. If they just went over like this, it would definitely be dangerous. While moving forward, Gavin was thinking about how to deal with Zichin. It would be best if he could think of a way to save his own life. After returning, many people along the way were looking at the 3 of them, but they did not dare to approach. Gavin came to Zichin's residence and shouted, Zichin, come out. There are 2 lords looking for you. They want to ask you some questions. You have to answer them properly. Zichin walked out of the room, carrying the basket of killing intent crystals on his back. He looked around and finally fixed his gaze on the 2/4 strength state martial artists. His gaze paused for a moment. Then he immediately cupped his fists at the 2 of them. Show me the crystals behind you. One of the 4th strength state martial artists looked at Zichin. Hearing that, Zichin took out a crystal from behind him and threw it forward. Seeing this, Gavin's face changed drastically, and he had the urge to run away. The crystal in his hand was filled with killing intent, but did not explode. The other party felt the killing intent crystal and nodded with satisfaction. Not bad. It is indeed a killing intent crystal. Did you get it yourself? Zichin nodded and said, My lord, I was lucky. I found it in the mine, so I brought it back. Your luck is really good. Do you have more? The person who spoke stared straight behind Zichin. What he said was complete nonsense. At this moment, the two fourth strength state martial artists were not standing together. Gavin was in the other direction. Yes. Zichin put the basket on the ground. They are all here. Seeing this, the other party nodded with satisfaction. Seeing that you are so sensible, I will not pursue the matter of you taking my share. The man who spoke walked forward. In order to show that he had no ill intentions, Zichin took the initiative to step back. The man stepped forward and looked at the shining killing intent crystals with satisfaction. He carried the bamboo basket and turned to leave. Before leaving, he glanced at Gavin. Gavin immediately cupped his fists and bowed to the other party. Zichin retreated into the room. Hearing the other party's words, he should be completely relieved. After all, the other party did not pursue the matter, which meant that he recognized his identity. This was equivalent to using the killing intent crystals to buy his life. However, Zichin, who had retreated into the room, quickly walked to the window in the opposite direction. Swoosh! He leaped out and quickly ran into the distance. Many people saw Zichin, but they did not understand why he ran away in such a sorry state. Why did he not carry the killing intent crystals? Zichin ran away. He is here. Chase him. At this moment, someone shouted in the distance. The man who left with the killing intent crystals heard the shout. He smiled faintly and said, "He is not stupid." He carried the killing intent crystals and walked in the opposite direction. Another person said, "Should we go and kill him?" The other party laughed and said, "Do you need a butcher's knife to kill a chicken? Didn't you see Gavin's eyes? He wanted to eat that kid." The 2-4 strength realm cultivators had left. It was too easy for Gavin and his many subordinates to kill Zichin. Zichin ran in the opposite direction, so he did not have to worry about the 2-4 strength realm cultivators catching up. The reason why he did not kill them directly was because the two of them were obviously prepared. At the same time, Zichin did not think that they could kill the two of them if they were prepared. Even if they could, what should he do next? It must be the endless pursuit from Pofa City. This was not what Zichin wanted to see. Relatively speaking, if he gave up the killing intent crystals and only dealt with the 3 strength realm cultivator, it would be much easier. When Gavin called out to him, Zichin guessed that something was wrong and had a plan in mind. Today, no one needs to work. Follow me to hunt Zichin. Chapter 5017. Zichin was running frantically in front, and everyone was chasing after him from behind. Everyone had seen how Zichin was flaunting his prowess a few days ago. Kevin would give Zichin a lot of energy every day, so it was natural for him to enjoy the energy. However, without the killing crystal, Zichin had become an ordinary second force realm cultivator. Naturally, he would have to spit out the energy. Stop right there. Kid, leave the energy and we'll spare your life. Everyone was shouting and yelling as they followed behind. Some of them were just doing it for fun, but there were also some who really wanted to snatch Zichin. While they were chasing, some of them were trying to intercept him from both sides. Zichin was trying his best to escape. As for Miao Pengfei, he had already listened to their advice and left. Gavin followed behind with a few leaders surrounding him. He looked at Zichin, who was running away in a sorry state, with a faint and confident smile on his face. At this moment, he was still the boss of everyone. You guys, go over there and block him. Go and call the others over. There's no need to work today. Those who catch Zichin will be rewarded with 100 streams of energy. Those who chop off his arm will be rewarded with 10 streams of energy. Those who chop off a leg will be rewarded with 20 streams of energy. Kevin knew how to motivate people, so he did not take any risks. With the generous reward, everyone rushed forward like crazy. This Zichen really doesn't know what's good for him. He actually dares to go against Sir. That guy is so lucky. Without the killing crystal, he's nothing but a fart. It's a pity that such an idiot actually took away thousands of streams of energy over the past few days. The junior leaders behind Gavin were all flattering him. It was obvious that Zichen had become a target of scorn, and the only thing that awaited him was death. Gavin would still be their boss. Thousands of streams of energy? Kevin glanced at the people beside him and said, "That guy is insatiably greedy. During this period, he has already taken nearly 10,000 streams of energy from me. If we can't get the energy back this time, everyone will have to live frugally from now on." What? When everyone heard this, their expressions changed. They all looked at Zichen in the distance, with shock and greed in their eyes. That was close to 10,000 strands of energy. Zichen was very far away from Gavin at the moment and couldn't hear him at all. If he could, he would definitely curse. It had only been a dozen days, and there were more than 100 strands of energy a day. At most, there were less than 2,000 strands of energy. Where did 10,000 strands of energy come from? What Kevin said was not to arouse the greed of the crowd, but to provide a portion of the amount and find a gap to fill. He was in charge of a lot of people and had to deal with a lot of energy every day. How could there only be 100 or so energy that slipped through the net? Gavin looked at the eager leaders beside him. "Don't say I didn't warn you. I don't care what you're thinking. If you can really get the energy back from Zichen, it's your own ability. But Zichen must die. That's what it means. Don't worry, sir." After receiving the order, they immediately rushed forward. They were all in the second force state and had a group of subordinates. Of course, it was easy to deal with Zichen, who had no killing crystals. Gavin followed behind, walking at a moderate pace. This was the strategy. Not only did he save his life, but he also gained a lot. Zichen, who was running away, glanced behind him and found that those people seemed to be on steroids. Not only did they not give up, but they were even more excited. There were so many people. If one of them stepped forward and slashed, Zichen would die. Without the killing crystals, Zichen could only run. As long as there was no one in front of him, he didn't have to worry about taking out a strand of energy to refine. Anyway, he still had more than 1,000 strands of energy. He didn't have to worry about this consumption. At this moment, his expression suddenly changed. There were people in front of him. There were a total of 5 people. He didn't know if they had coincidentally returned, but when they saw this scene, they immediately blocked his path. Damn it! Zichen cursed. He could only change his direction and run forward at a slanted angle. The 5 people also changed their direction. One of them sneered and said, "Kids, stay here." Light flashed in Zichen's hand, and more than a dozen strands of energy appeared. "How about we make a deal?" As he spoke, Zichen immediately waved his hand. A golden light flashed, and the energy flew to the side. The 5 people's eyes immediately lit up. At this moment, someone shouted from behind, "Stop him! He has more than 10,000 strands of energy." More than 10,000 strands of energy? Their expressions changed, and they looked at Zichen in disbelief. In front of 10,000 strands of energy, the dozen strands of energy were obviously nothing in their eyes. Their eyes were filled with greed. Immediately, 3 of them ran forward, wanting to stop Zichen. However, the other 2 people hesitated. They didn't follow. Instead, they changed their direction and went straight for the energy. "Are the 2 of you stupid? You don't want nearly 10,000 strands of energy? Why do you want so little?" The person behind shouted. The 2 of them didn't reply. They picked up the energy and split it. Looking at the front, the 3 people rushed forward and blocked Zichen. At this moment, Zichen took out his bone staff and immediately swung it forward. Infinite golden light burst out. The bone staff fell and scattered rays of light. Before one of the 2 strength-level cultivators could react, the ray of light descended. In an instant, half of his body disappeared. During this time, Zi-Chun didn't stop. He rushed forward, and there were 2 more wounds on his body. He was attacked by the other 2 people, but his injuries weren't serious. The person who lost half of his body fell down. He screamed like a pig being slaughtered. The other 2 people were stunned. They didn't expect this. At this moment, Zi-Chun turned back and swung his bone staff again. Since he chose to attack, there was no reason for him to hold back. Bang! Bang! The short delay allowed the pursuers to close the distance between them, and Zi-Chun gave the 2 of them 2 more hits. The 2 people fell down. Even though they used their energy to recover, their injuries were too serious. It was impossible to save their lives. The blood-curdling screams caused the hearts of those who heard them to tremble. Those who were nearing Zi-Chun all instinctively stopped. The 3 people disappeared in the shrill screams. Their voices lingered for a long time. In the distance, the 2 people who had received more than 10 strands of energy looked at each other and saw the joy in each other's eyes. They weren't greedy. Instead, they had gained something. After killing the 3 people, Zi-Chun quickly fled. Because the person in front of him had stopped, the distance between them, which had been closed earlier, had widened again. The others were scared and slowed down. Surround him first, then kill him slowly. The winner will be rewarded with 300 strands of energy. At this moment, Kevin's voice sounded from behind. His eyes were fixed on the bone staff in Zi-Chun's hand. His eyes were full of greed. Such a huge reward was worth the risk. No one hesitated and chased after him. Chapter 5018. There were too many of them. If he wanted to fight them head-on, it would be almost impossible to win. Therefore, Zi-Chun kept running to buy time. He planned to make his move at night. As night fell, the surroundings immediately turned dark. The battle cries behind him continued. "Stop! Kid, don't run! Do you dare to fight me? Stop if you can. Watch me finish you with one hand." The shouts behind him continued. Everyone was very excited by the huge reward. After all, they only received 2 strands of energy every day. But this time, Kevin rewarded them with hundreds of strands of energy. It could be said to be a huge reward. During the day, although Zi-Chun's attack was shocking, everyone could see that without the killing crystal, he could only kill 1 person at a time. During this time, as long as they seized the opportunity, each person could kill Zi-Chun. There were hundreds of people chasing after Zi-Chun. It could even be more. Therefore, no one thought that they were the unlucky ones who would be killed with a single blow. As night fell, some people slowed down because the night was accompanied by intense danger. But there were more people who were not afraid. They were still shouting and yelling excitedly. Kevin was very satisfied with this result. With him leading the group, Zi-Chun would definitely die this time, and he was determined to get the bone staff in Zi-Chun's hand. In the night, Zi-Chun was shrouded in energy. He was as conspicuous as a lighthouse in the night. It was very difficult to lose him. As long as this continued, death was only a matter of time for Zi-Chun. Zi-Chun glanced behind him. The others were also very conspicuous. If Zi-Chun was like a lighthouse, then they were living targets. The night would provide great convenience for Zi-Chun. He took a look at his surroundings. Without using his immortal spiritual eye, this place was pitch black and he couldn't see anything. However, this didn't stop him from turning around and giving everyone a surprise attack on this night. Turning his head and continuing to run, Zi-Chun's eyes lit up and his vision brightened. Because his back was facing the crowd, no one discovered his immortal spiritual eyes. Zi-Chun saw a piece of high ground. He wanted to set up an ambush there. Moving forward quickly, Zi-Chun didn't go up the high ground. Instead, he circled to the back of the high ground. "He's running away. Go after him. Zi-Chun has disappeared. Everyone hurry. Don't let him get away." "That's right. That's several hundred strands of energy. We can't let him escape." When the people behind saw this, they immediately shouted. Everyone rushed forward crazily, and everyone increased their speed. Shwa! 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 Immediately, some people rushed over the high ground. Chen looked at the backs of those people and followed them in a flash. After arriving behind a person, Chen swung the bone staff forward. Following a flash of light, Chen's sneak attack hit the back of a second-strength realm expert's head. Buzz! With a flash of light, the other party's head disappeared. His body fell straight down and died in an instant. Here, Chen is here. Immediately, someone cried out in alarm when they saw Chen. At the same time, they quickly retreated. As long as they surrounded him, Chen would definitely die. Therefore, there was no need to fight Chen head-on. Chen flashed forward and swung his bone staff. Following 2 strikes, 2 people who couldn't dodge in time were sent flying. After they landed, they let out blood-curdling screams. It looked like they were about to lose their lives. Chen immediately rushed forward and continued to run. Occasionally, he would turn his head to look behind him to see if there were any other opportunities. This time, Chen killed 3 people in a sneak attack. He couldn't kill everyone at once. That would put himself in a very dangerous situation. He had to find an opportunity to slowly exhaust them. After all, his biggest advantage was his endurance. The energy in his body was his biggest advantage. The second time, Chen used the environment to launch a sneak attack and killed another 3 people. This made the pursuers feel apprehensive. Being able to obtain energy from Chen was great, but losing their lives because of it was something they didn't want to accept. Therefore, they all became more careful. Kevin, who was at the back, noticed this change and was thinking of a good solution. If these people gave up now, it would be very difficult for him to kill Chen. The power of that bone staff was really terrifying. While he coveted it, he was also full of fear. Right now, he just wanted to sit back and enjoy the fruits of others' labor. He wanted to use these people to kill Chen and obtain the bone staff. Quick, Chen is slowing down. At first, some people had already planned to give up. However, at that moment, they noticed that Chen's speed was no longer as fast as before. The distance between the 2 parties was quickly closing. Could he be exhausted? Everyone seemed to see hope and was ready to make a last stand. Chen's eyes lit up when he saw a group of lawbreaker beasts. There were dozens of them. This was what he had been waiting for all night. Finally, it had arrived. At that moment, Chen was facing these lawbreaker beasts head-on. Naturally, he had to slow down and wait for the others to catch up. The distance between the 3 parties was getting closer and closer. At that moment, someone finally discovered the lawbreaker beasts and immediately exclaimed, "Lawbreaker beasts! There are lawbreaker beasts here." Unfortunately, their eyesight was not good in the dark. By the time they discovered the lawbreaker beasts, the 2 parties had already come into contact. Chen rushed into the midst of the lawbreaker beasts, and they followed closely behind. Some of the lawbreaker beasts attacked Chen, but more of them went straight for the pursuers behind him. Swoosh! Swoosh! Light flickered under Chen's feet. With the help of the immortal spiritual eye, he dodged several attacks from the lawbreaker beasts. At that moment, the others had already rushed over and were fighting with the lawbreaker beasts. Chen took the opportunity to turn around and follow the lawbreaker beasts forward, taking advantage of the chaos to attack. In an instant, all sorts of roars were heard, and many people retreated in panic. A lawbreaker beast pounced on a second realm cultivator. After pouncing on him in an instant, it viciously bit at his neck and snapped it. The second realm cultivator held the energy in his hand, and his body struggled. After a moment, he turned into light and dissipated. This was the first time Chen had seen a lawbreaker beast kill someone. Its attacks were very sharp, and the places it bit were almost all vital points. Light flickered all around, and the second realm cultivators died one after another. Chen's body shone with golden light as he wandered among the crowd. Swoosh! A lawbreaker beast rushed at him. Chen did not kill it, but used the bone staff in his hand to block and used the force of the attack to knock it away. These lawbreaker beasts were his temporary companions, and Chen did not want to kill any of them. At the same time, Chen attacked with his left hand. Threads crisscrossed and swept past the body of a second realm cultivator. He could not kill lawbreaker beasts, but he could kill humans. Wang. Light flashed past, and the opponent's body was immediately disintegrated. He did not even have time to scream. Run! Faced with such a terrifying situation, an unknown existence suddenly yelled out. The others, who were already frightened, immediately began to retreat. A team of hundreds was defeated by dozens of lawbreaker beasts and one Chen. When one person retreated, the rest retreated. In an instant, everyone began to run. Chapter 5019. Everyone began to retreat, each and every one of them terrified. They had an absolute advantage in terms of numbers. However, in the face of these law-breaking beasts and Chen's attack, they were completely defeated. Don't run. Kill him. He's alone. You can totally stop him. Kill those law-breaking beasts first, then kill Chen. Some of the smaller leaders at the back were yelling at the top of their lungs as they watched the fleeing crowd. However, it was useless. The crowd had already scattered, and it would be much more difficult to gather again. What the F***CK are you running for? Can't a group of you kill one person? A burly man scolded. However, it was useless. Swoosh! While Chen was dodging, a law-breaking beast launched an attack at him. After dodging, the other party went for the nearest target instead of chasing after Chen. Bang! The bone staff in Chen's hand fell, and a level 2 cultivator was knocked down. Before he could die, a law-breaking beast stepped forward and bit off his head. Chen had formed a tacit understanding with these law-breaking beasts as he rushed forward. He didn't need to kill everyone. As long as he knocked them down, the law-breaking beasts would step forward and kill them. However, these law-breaking beasts didn't seem to be very intelligent. Under such circumstances, several of them still attacked Chen. Fortunately, Chen didn't let down his guard and dodged them one by one. From the looks of it, Chen couldn't bear to kill any of these law-breaking beasts. Kevin's face was ghastly. The two sides weren't on the same level, but his people had all retreated. Their faces were full of fear. People who didn't know better would think that they had encountered a group of vanishing shadow beasts. He was regretting his decision. If he had known that these people were so weak, he would have brought some of his trusted subordinates. They wouldn't have ended up in such a sorry state. Now that they had been defeated, no one wanted to be the one who stayed behind to die. Therefore, hundreds of people were being chased by dozens of law-breaking beasts and Chen. Moreover, they were dying as they ran. Gavin glanced at the burly man beside him and roared, "Follow me!" As soon as he shouted, more than 20 people walked out. They were all his trusted subordinates. "Let's go. Follow me. You guys deal with the law-breaking beast. I'll kill that brat." The burly man's expression was cold. Killing intent flickered in his eyes as he walked forward. Along the way, he would catch any entity that tried to escape and toss them aside. "Chen, do you dare to fight me face to face?" In his hand was an enormous wooden blade. Even in the dark of night, the blade that was raised high still emitted a cold glint. Chen glanced at him as if he was looking at an idiot. However, he still couldn't ignore the other party's provocation, because if he did, the others would follow suit. As Chen followed the law-breaking beasts forward, his eyes locked onto the other party. Everyone else was retreating, but the other party took the initiative to move forward. The law-breaking beast naturally knew who to attack, so it naturally treated them as its targets. Chen gripped the bone staff and moved forward. Bang! With a tap of his foot, Chen suddenly exerted his strength and leaped forward. He swept over everyone's heads and went straight for the burly man. You're courting death." The burly man roared angrily. The wooden blade in his hand suddenly emitted a dazzling light as it slashed toward Zichin. At the same time, there seemed to be precepts circulating on the blade. The way of wind. Suddenly, a strong wind blew from all directions, blowing against Zichen's cheek. It brought with it some pain. A sharp and fierce aura rushed toward him. Zichen was a little surprised, but he wasn't afraid. Looking down from above, he smashed down with the bone staff in his hand. Infinite golden light bloomed, and a powerful aura surged. The bone staff carried with it an unstoppable force. The moment it came into contact with the long blade, the blade light was destroyed. The light sprinkled down, and the aura was still terrifying. When it landed on the long blade, the entire blade was destroyed. The light continued to spread, extending to half of the burly man's arm. His arm and one side of his body disappeared. Ah! The anger in the burly man's eyes immediately turned into fear, and he screamed loudly. His voice was very shrill. 2 streams of energy appeared in his other hand. He didn't immediately refine them like the others who wanted to survive. Instead, he directly put them into his mouth and devoured them. The burly man looked at Zichin, his eyes full of desire to live. Zichen's expression was cold. If the burly man lived, he would die. He raised the bone staff again and smashed down. Whong! The light disappeared, and the burly man's figure disappeared. Such a scene created an even more shocking effect. The second strength realm cultivators who followed the burly man immediately abandoned the law-breaking beasts and began to flee. Everyone was in the second strength realm, and they couldn't say who was stronger or weaker. The reason why they were divided into small leaders was because they had a good relationship with Kevin. Therefore, everyone had a rough understanding of their own combat strength. With the burly man easily killed, they would be fools if they didn't run. This could be said to have destroyed everyone's confidence. Those who wanted to give it a try before all ran away in an instant. For a moment, no one resisted. The law-breaking beasts were still in pursuit, reaping one life after another. "Kevin, do you dare to fight me?" Zichen followed behind the law-breaking beasts. Now, there was almost no need for him to do anything. The law-breaking beasts would take the initiative to attack. Therefore, he shouted at Kevin when he saw him. Kevin's expression was very ugly. Although he wasn't afraid of Zichin, those law-breaking beasts were troublesome. He looked around and saw that everyone had run away. Under such circumstances, it was obviously unrealistic to organize a new attack. Therefore, Kevin also retreated. However, before he left, he glanced at Zichin and said coldly, "Count yourself lucky. The next time we meet, you will definitely die. There's no need to wait for the next time. Let's do it now." Zichin rushed forward, his eyes full of murderous intent. Everyone else had run away. This was an opportunity for him. An excellent opportunity to kill Kevin. When Kevin saw Zichin chasing after him, his expression changed greatly, and he sped up again. He didn't want to go head-to-head with Zichin at this time. There was a difference in power between the two of them. Therefore, in terms of speed, Kevin surpassed Zichin. Soon, Kevin escaped into the crowd. It was almost impossible to find him without using the immortal spiritual eye. After a while, Zichin gave up. Kevin was completely gone. He quickly left before those law-breaking beasts turned around. He obviously couldn't stay here any longer. He walked in another direction. Back then, when Miao Pengfei left, he deliberately left a path for him, and the other party followed this path and went forward to investigate. Zichin followed this path until dawn. During this time, he didn't encounter any danger. Chapter 50-20. For the past few days, he had been writing while lying on his stomach. This posture was very uncomfortable. Today, he was not in the right state to write. Tomorrow, he would update. Thunder Marshal has no updates today. Currently in progress. Please wait for a moment. After the content has been updated, Please refresh the page to receive the latest update. Chapter 5021. There were a dozen or so people in his field of vision. For them to appear here at this time, they should be a hunting team that came out at night. Zi-Chin. Zi-Chin lowered his head and changed direction. Just as he was about to pass by them, a voice suddenly called out. Zi-Chin turned his head and saw Miao Pengfei. He was quickly moving forward, leaving the team. Why are you here? The two of them said this almost at the same time. Zi-Chin had just randomly encountered a hunting team. He didn't expect to find a familiar face. I brought people to look for you. Why did you come out? Miao Pengfei looked at Zi-Chin. Look for me. Zi-Chin was slightly taken aback. Miao Pengfei nodded and then asked, Right, where are the kill crystals on you? Why don't you have them on your back? Originally, Zi-Chin would carry a basket full of crystals on his back wherever he went. That was why he could intimidate everyone. But now the crystals were gone. Speaking of this, Zi-Chin felt a bit sullen. Ever since he came here, nothing had gone smoothly. Not only had his kill crystals been taken away, but they didn't even say a word of thanks. Instead, they wanted to kill him. Faced with such a sullen situation, if it weren't for the fact that he was too weak, he would have killed those two already. The kill crystals were taken away. After Zi-Chin told him what had happened, he felt very depressed. After hearing this, the smile on Miao Pengfei's face gradually disappeared. Miao Pengfei, this is the person you were talking about. At this moment, someone walked over. He looked Zi-Chin up and down. Where's your kill crystal? What kill crystal? Zi-Chin asked. You don't have a kill crystal. Miao Pengfei, you King dare to trick us? The other person was angry. He grabbed Miao Pengfei's collar. Do you want to die? Philo, easy. Miao Pengfei patted the other person's hand lightly. What's going on? Zi-Chin looked at Miao Pengfei. Miao Pengfei smiled bitterly. I came here and told them about your situation. They said that it was a killing crystal, so I prepared to bring them to find you. Looking at the troubled Miao Pengfei, Zi-Chin understood. After Miao Pengfei came here, he was obviously worried about his own safety, so he asked these people for help. And these people obviously wouldn't help for free. They were here to kill the crystal. However, Zi-Chin did not have any killing crystals. Brat, where's your kill crystal? Philo glared at Zi-Chin with an unfriendly expression. The people from Shada City took it away, Zi-Chin said directly. Wouldn't that be a wasted trip? Philo turned to look at Miao Pengfei. Miao Pengfei, you tricked us into coming here. What do you think we should do? At the same time as that man spoke, the others also stepped forward and surrounded the two of them. Well said. Brothers, you've all worked hard. Miao Pengfei immediately took out 2 strands of energy and gave everyone 2 strands. Seeing these 2 energies, everyone's expression eased a lot. Zi-Chin didn't say anything when he saw this. How can 2 strands be enough? Philo said coldly, You tricked us into coming here, and now you're giving us 2 strands of energy as compensation. Brother, you know my situation. I really don't have much energy left. Miao Pengfei said with a bitter smile. Miao Pengfei complained, Brother, next time when I have accumulated enough energy, I will compensate everyone, okay? As he spoke, Miao Pengfei took out 2 more strands of energy as compensation. In total, he had given them 4 strands of energy. The energy that Zi-Chin had given him probably really didn't have much left. Humph. After taking the energy, Philo harumphed coldly and turned to leave. The others also scattered. Zi-Chin, let's go. Miao Pengfei tidied his clothes and gestured for Zi-Chin to follow. You're just going to stay here? Zi-Chin glanced at the people in front of him. Miao Pengfei chuckled bitterly. There's nothing I can do. People are the same everywhere. Just like last time, we've just arrived and haven't done anything yet, but we've already been envied by that Ronald. The people here are very xenophobic. Strangers are bullied wherever they go. If you don't fit in, you'll probably die. Meow Pengfei sighed. I'm not that bad. At the very least, I'm at the second strength tier. If I was at the first strength tier, I probably would have died a long time ago. Even though Philo's people are a bit greedy, they're still better than Ronald, so I've barely managed to fit in. Zichen nodded. Actually, he didn't agree with Meow Pengfei's words. If this was fitting in, then he didn't care. Right, I heard them say that kill crystals are quite valuable. Since your kill crystals were taken away by the people of Shatterspell City, didn't they give you any rewards? Meow Pengfei asked. Before Zichen could finish speaking, Philo had arrived. I'm already lucky to be alive. Zichen said, You're right about one thing. It's the same everywhere. The group of people walked in front, chatting and laughing. Zichen and Meow Pengfei followed behind. Suddenly, Philo turned around and said to Zichen, Brat, if you want to join our group, each person has to have 4 sources of energy. Otherwise, F***CK off. Brother Philo, his kill crystals were stolen. Where would he get the energy? Meow Pengfei said, Why don't we owe him first and slowly pay him back when we have more? F***CK off. Who gives you the right to speak here? Philo said coldly, If you can't give me the energy, then both of you can F***CK off. Zichen shook his head and said, It looks like we're just destined to run away. Brat, what are you mumbling about? Philo said angrily. Do you want to die? Zichen smiled. I said, I have the energy. Meow Pengfei tugged at Zichen, but he was unable to do so. Zichen had already finished speaking. Philo walked over, and the others followed. They quickly surrounded the 2 of them again. What did you say? Say it again. Philo stared intently at Zichen. Meow Pengfei stared at Zichen anxiously. Zichen said, Don't worry, I know what I'm doing. Then he looked at Philo. I have the energy. A light flashed in his hand, and dozens of sources of energy appeared in front of him. For each person was enough. Philo's eyes lit up. Brat, it looks like I underestimated you. I've changed my mind. 8 sources of energy. If you want to stay, each person needs to have 8. Zichen smiled faintly and said sure. His hand flashed, and dozens more sources of energy appeared. Meow Pengfei sighed. He knew what Zichen was planning. It seemed like they would have to run again. 8 won't do. We need 16. No, 32. 32 for each person. Philo laughed loudly. Hand it over and stay. If you can't, then F***CK off. Zichen said, 32 for each person. Why don't you just rob me? Yeah, rob. Philo suddenly realized something. Brat, at least you know what's good for you. Hand over all the energy you have right now. Otherwise, both of you will die. That's right. If you don't hand over your energy, both of you will die. Everyone's eyes flashed with killing intent. Zichen put away his energy and sighed. People all die because of greed. As soon as he spoke, Zichen unleashed a palm strike. Chapter 5022. Whoosh! The energy flowed past Philo's body like countless strands of principal energy before disappearing behind him. Philo's body froze, and the vicious expression on his face also froze. In the next instant, his body turned into energy and dissipated. Meow Pengfei sighed. What was the point of this? Wasn't it better to live on? Why did he have to die? When the others saw this, their expressions changed drastically and they all retreated. He had killed Philo in the blink of an eye. This shocked them to the core. Zichen looked at these people and said, How about you guys? How much more energy do you want? Being stared at by Zichen, everyone felt a chill in their hearts and hurriedly shook their heads. What kind of joke was this? Asking for energy now? Were they looking to die? Then what are you guys standing around for? Zichen glared at them, and they immediately turned and ran. Seeing them leave, Miao Pengfei said, "Where are we going now?" "Let's go to that place first. If there's no other way, we'll go back to that mine." If there was no other way, Zichen would go back. Sure. The two of them walked forward. Along the way, Zichen asked, "What are the killing crystals you were talking about?" "They're the crystals you saved up before. Apparently, they're very rare. There are people in Shattering Fa City who specialize in buying them, and the price is very high." Miao Pengfei said, "Originally, I wanted them to take you out. Even if I gave them the killing crystals, it wouldn't be a big deal. At least they would have a place to stay." But sigh. Miao Pengfei became very depressed. This place was so big, but there was no place for the two of them. Don't be depressed. Think on the bright side. If we don't join a faction, we won't have to take any risks. After walking for a while, Zichen saw some buildings. They were no different from the area under Kevin's control. However, the area seemed to be larger. Zichen saw many First Force Realm cultivators pushing the oldest wooden carts. There were many crystals on the carts. The laws of this world were very strange. Things that belonged to this world couldn't be put away. For example, weapons and the killing crystals he had obtained before. Otherwise, Zichen wouldn't have carried a basket around every day. The first strength realm warriors were pushing the carts, while the second strength realm warriors were guarding them. They were like a group of mercenaries. "Do you know what the crystal stones are for in Pofa City?" Zichen suddenly asked. He went to condense energy. Miao Pengfei said, "A large part of the energy that keeps everyone alive comes from inside." "Where are the killing crystals?" "I'm not too sure about that. Even Philo can't say for sure. Apparently, he used it to refine a weapon." Refining weapons. Zichen suddenly recalled the time when he had first awakened. In order to survive, he had become a corpse fisherman. At that time, there was a law that automatically transformed into a fishing net. This was one of the few things that Zichen had seen outside of wood since coming to this world. The long wit that was snatched away by the 4-strength realm woman last time could also be considered a special weapon. Zichen looked at the crowd in front of him. Everyone was busy, and some people would leave in a hurry when they saw the two of them. "I wonder what's in Pofa City." Zichen looked into the distance. All of the crystal stones had been brought to that mysterious place. No one can say for sure. Only 4-strength realm warriors can enter. And if 3-strength realm warriors want to enter, they'll need to find a way. Miao Pengfei said, "I've seen it. Let's go." Philo was the leader of a small group. Although he wasn't very strong, everyone was in a group here. Thus, Zichen was destined to be ostracized after killing Philo. They couldn't stay here, so they had to go to the next place. Miao Pengfei pointed into the distance and said, "If you don't mind, we can go around here and go to the next place. But that way, we'll be far away from the mine with the killing crystals." In the outer regions, each place controlled its own mine, and it was impossible to pass through one another. Before Zichen could respond, a commotion suddenly came from up ahead. A group of people was running in their direction. "Trouble is coming." Miao Pengfei looked at Zichen and said, "Are we going?" "Let's wait and see." Zichen gazed at the group of people in front of him. Some of them were the ones who had left earlier. It was obvious that they had found reinforcements. There were even more people now. At a glance, there were more than 50 people. The person in front of them was surrounded by 3 different types of power. This person was at the same cultivation level as Kevin. It was obvious that this person was the leader of this region. There weren't many people here, so if Zichen launched a sneak attack, there was a high chance that he could kill this person. Unfortunately, everyone was in a group, and they had already formed a powerful faction. Today, he had killed a 3-strength realm warrior. Perhaps a 4-strength realm warrior would appear tomorrow, and perhaps a 5-strength realm warrior the day after tomorrow. Just as Zichen was in a daze, the group of people arrived and surrounded the two of them again. However, after witnessing Zichen's strength, they didn't dare to be careless and slightly increased the size of their encirclement. You killed Philo. The 3-strength realm warrior stood 5 feet away from Zichen and looked at him. Yes, Zichen admitted with a nod. Why? The 3-strength realm warrior asked. He wanted to steal my power. Zichen didn't explain in detail because he was sure that the 3-strength realm warrior already knew the truth. For someone who could easily kill a 2-strength realm warrior, it wasn't strange at all that he had a few dozen types of power. What's your name? The 3-strength realm warrior asked again. Zichen. You killed Philo, so I lost a squad leader. My position is empty, so you can take it. The 3-strength realm warrior glanced at Zichen, then looked at the person next to him. Crew, what do we need to do? You arrange it. After speaking, he left. Zichen was left behind, stunned. The others were also dumbfounded. Why didn't their lord avenge Philo? The man named Crew glanced at the crowd and said, What are you all standing there for? Hurry up and greet Captain Zichen. Only then did everyone come to their senses and immediately salute Zichen. Miao Pengfei stood there in disbelief. He had replaced Philo and become the captain just like that? It couldn't be that he was plotting something, could it? Captain Zichen, my name is Crew. I'll explain to you what you're responsible for now. Zichen was also a bit dazed as he followed Crew forward. However, he didn't lose his mind. He remained vigilant of his surroundings. If there was any danger, he would take the initiative to respond. Unfortunately, the others around him were still busy, and no one paid any attention to him. Even if they did, they would only glance at him briefly. Philo was a 2-strength realm warrior captain, and he was only responsible for one of the escorts. He had about 50 people under him, and today he had only brought a portion of them. After Crew explained everything, he left. He wouldn't stay here for too long. They weren't lying. What they told us was all about Philo's previous mission. It seems like they really do treat you as their new captain. Miao Pengfei had been here for a while, so he naturally knew what Philo's mission was. Chapter 5023. As per the title, there was no status. Stop updating. Thunder Warrior did not update today. Currently in the hands. Please wait for a moment. After the content is updated, please refresh the page to get the latest update. Chapter 5024. Miao Pengfei couldn't believe that he and Zichen had stayed behind just like that. After all, those people were all part of the same group, and the two of them were outsiders, so they had been ostracized by everyone. But now things seemed to have changed. Those who didn't like Miao Pengfei before were now extremely courteous to him. Philo's former residence was now Zichen's. Miao Pengfei stared at this residence, which was twice as big as a normal person's, in disbelief. Originally, he thought that he should run when the situation turned bad. But now everything had changed. What's going on? Miao Pengfei looked at Zichen. Do you think they're really that kind? Zichen shook his head. He couldn't figure out what those 3-strength realm cultivators were thinking. But since they were here, they might as well stay for now. Miao Pengfei's expression suddenly changed. Do you think this is a stalling tactic? Zichen looked at Miao Pengfei. They know that they're no match for you, so they're keeping you here. Their real goal is to go to Shatter Dharma City and find a powerful expert to kill you, Miao Pengfei said. Impossible. Zichen said, those 3-strength realm cultivators are very arrogant. They don't think that they can't kill me. Zichen was very confident in this because Kevin was very confident in his own strength. It was just that the other party didn't want to take that step. And the 3-strength realm cultivators here didn't know him, nor did they know how strong he was. It was almost impossible that they were waiting for help. Maybe it's because of the killing crystal. This was the only way Zichen could think of. After coming here, the only secret he could reveal was the killing crystal. Could it be that they want you to find the killing crystal? Miao Pengfei guessed. Right. Have they returned the energy to you yet? Not long ago, Miao Pengfei had given everyone 2 strands of energy as compensation. The dead Philo had received 4 strands. Miao Pengfei shook his head. Zichen's expression became serious. What's wrong? Miao Pengfei asked. Is there a problem? I am now in charge of them, and you are my friend. How could they have the guts to ask for compensation from you? Zichen frowned and said, he didn't return the energy. Maybe he thinks that I won't be the leader for long. Miao Pengfei's expression changed. They must be up to something. Why don't we leave at night? At this moment, the sky was almost dark. Leaving at night could save a lot of trouble. Zichen walked to the window and looked outside. He found that there were some people nearby. They seemed to be wandering around, but they were actually monitoring. It's over. It's over. When Miao Pengfei saw this scene, he said in despair, I guessed right. Why were they so insidious? If we had run earlier, we could have escaped. How about we kill our way out tonight? Zichen retracted his gaze. Let's wait first. Through their conversation earlier in the day, he didn't think that the other party was putting on an act. Because if it was acting, Crew could just casually brush him off. There was no need to explain it to him. Therefore, Zichen decided to wait and see. That night, Miao Pengfei didn't leave. He stayed in Zichen's room. Seeing Zichen calmly take the energy and refine it, he was extremely anxious. He used to be the city lord, so he had his own calmness. But that calmness was based on strength. When everyone was in the one strength state, no one could pose a threat to him, so he didn't panic. But it was different now. They were surrounded by people who could kill him. Now that they were being monitored, he couldn't calm down at all. This kind of anxiety lasted until the sky brightened. Miao Pengfei ran to the window and secretly looked outside. There were still people monitoring. Will today's experts come? In Miao Pengfei's subconscious, there should be 2 4-strength state experts blocking the door, one in front and one behind. At the same time, the others surrounded them, blocking all their escape routes. After a night of cultivation, Zichen consumed 3 streams of energy, but still didn't make any progress. He had already forgotten what it felt like to advance to the 2nd strength state. Was it luck or emotion? It was hard to say. After opening the door, Zichen practiced a set of martial arts and warmed up his muscles. There were still people around, but he didn't care. Not long after, Crew came. Zichen, you're in a good mood. Crew looked at Zichen practicing and laughed. Zichen smiled and said, It's been a long time since I've been so free, so I came out to exercise. Sir, do you have any plans for me this time? Call me Crew. I don't dare to be called sir. A light flashed in front of Crew, and he took out more than 100 streams of energy. These are your shares. The 2nd strength state, cultivators get 1 or 2 streams per day. Zichen, as the captain, you get 5 streams per day. Zichen put away the energy. He estimated that it was enough for 2 days. However, Zichen quickly reacted and asked, I'm not too familiar with the rules here. I wonder if I should leave some behind? Crew smiled and said, It's up to you whether you want to keep it or not. Zichen said, What I mean is, should I leave some for Sir? When Zichen was in the area controlled by Gavin, Gavin gave him more than 100 streams of energy every day. It was obvious that the energy was embezzled. Crew laughed and said, You're really interesting. After saying that, Crew left. What do we need to do? Zichen asked again. The new batch of ores hasn't been mined yet. We'll talk about it when they come out. Crew left. Without a mission, everyone only got 1 stream of energy a day. Only when they went out on a mission would they get 2. Miao Peng Fei walked out of the room. He didn't understand what the other party was up to. Distribute these streams of energy. Zi Qin took out a few dozen streams of energy and gave them to Miao Peng Fei. Miao Peng Fei took the energy and walked away. Zi Qin looked at Miao Peng Fei's back as he left. This time he felt more at ease. Not long after, Miao Peng Fei ran back and said excitedly, "They returned the energy to me again." Those who took Miao Peng Fei's energy yesterday not only returned it, but also gave him 2 more streams each. Now he took out a few dozen streams of energy and handed them to Zi Qin. "You can keep them," Zi Qin said. "They should be useful for gathering information later." Miao Peng Fei understood what Zi Qin meant. He didn't refuse and kept the energy. After that, wherever he went, people were very polite to him. It was as if he had returned to the area under Gavin's rule. But this time, Zi Qin didn't threaten the 3 powers realm. Instead, he used the identity of a small leader. There were no missions for 3 days. There was only 1 day left of the energy Crew gave him. Chapter 5025. Kulu had come with a new mission. This was Zi Chen's first mission since arriving here. The mission was simple. He had to bring the new first strength realm cultivators to the original mine and bring back the newest batch of crystals. This was a very basic mission, and it usually wouldn't be too dangerous. Zi Qin led his subordinates into action. There were more than 50 of them, and some of them had just returned from a mission yesterday. They were led by a person called Hu Zhang. Hu Zhang was Philo's deputy and was deeply trusted by the latter. This time, Kalu had given Zi Qin even more energy sources, several hundred of them, to ensure that everyone was able to survive. Once the mission was over, they would give him the rest of the rewards. "Sir, everyone is here." Hu Zhang walked up to Zi Qin and politely said, "Then let's go." Zi Qin walked out. The 50 or so people were already waiting for him. They were all at the 2nd strength realm, and their auras varied in strength. The people who had just returned yesterday were all looking at Zi Qin curiously. Of course, they had heard of their new boss's exploits. He had been able to kill Philo in an instant, so one could imagine how powerful he was. Miao Peng Fei had already distributed everyone's share of the day's energy, and the group set off. They walked to another cluster of buildings. There was another 2nd strength realm cultivator here. He was in charge of more than 200 first strength realm cultivators. These people were commonly known as miners, or rather cannon fodder. When he saw the group arrive, he glanced at Zi Qin. "You're the one who killed Philo and replaced him?" Zi Qin nodded. "That's me. Not only did the shaman not kill you, but he even let you become the leader. It seems that you're quite lucky. With your luck, I'm sure we won't be in any danger this time." The shaman chuckled coldly and waved his hand. "All right, don't just stand there. Tell your people to hurry up and leave. This time we're going to the first mine, so it'll be a bit longer." This shaman's attitude was arrogant, and he glanced sideways at Zi Qin as he spoke. Zi Qin didn't bother arguing with him. He turned around and gestured for the group to continue onward. These dozens of people were like a group of mercenaries responsible for protecting everyone's lives. As the team gradually walked away, Crew and the shaman walked out from the shadows. The shaman watched Zi Qin leave, while Crew stood to the side in silence. "Sir, are you going to hand him over?" Crew asked after Zi Qin and the others' figures had vanished from sight. Just yesterday, someone from Gavin's territory had come. The other party had accused Zi Qin of a lot of crimes and demanded Zi Qin back. The shaman also learned about what had happened to Zi Qin. All the kill crystals he had brought with him had been taken away by the people of Breaking Spellbreaker City. Not only did he not receive any rewards, but he was also surrounded and killed. Therefore, he rejected the suggestion and did not hand over Zi Qin. "Keep it. It's just a small leader. It's not a lucrative job," the shaman said. Perhaps we'll need him in the future. The number 1 mineral vein was the first mineral vein to be discovered here. It had been mined for many years, and the crystals inside were all ordinary energy crystals. This type of crystal was also the foundation of everyone's survival. As they walked forward, Hu Zheng explained to Zichen that he had been there more than once. The others were also chatting and laughing. Obviously, they weren't worried at all. Zichen looked ahead. In the center of the first 4 state warriors, their leader was sitting in a simple wooden sedan. He looked very relaxed. His name is Luo Xie. He used to be the leader of a team like you, sir. However, after that team was wiped out, he was transferred back to do this, Hu Zheng said. Wiped out? Zichen was surprised. What did they encounter? Vanishing shadow beasts? It's the rebel army. Rebel army? Zichen was stunned again. There's a rebel army here? A group of people who specialize in going against breaking Spellbreaker City. We call them the rebel army. There aren't many of them, and they mainly rob for a living. Zichen was surprised. When he was in Gavin's area, he had never heard of the rebel army. Even Miao Pengfei looked surprised. He had been here for a long time and thought that he knew this place very well. However, he had never heard of the rebel army. The rebel army is always robbing big places. The place that you used to live in was too small and didn't have anything valuable. Naturally, the rebel army wouldn't go there. Hu Zheng pointed at his feet. Even this place isn't that big. The shaman is only the leader here. Compared to other places, it's still a lot worse. Oh! The reason why we met the rebel army last time was because Luo Xie was escorting a martial crystal. The news was somehow leaked and attracted the rebel army. Martial crystal? This was a new name. Zichen had never heard of it before. Martial crystals are similar to killing crystals. The only difference is the energy contained in them. Hu Zheng continued to explain, killing crystals are used to make weapons, while martial crystals are used to break through realms. Break through realms? This word shocked Zichen. Could it be that there were crystals here that had the same effect as elixirs? The number of killing crystals is slightly more, but martial crystals are very rare. This is because every martial crystal can force a person to break through realms. Hu Zheng looked at Luo Xie's back with envy. Although the rebel army robbed the item, Luo Xie wasn't punished by the shaman. Instead, he got such a good job. There's no danger, but the rewards are even greater. As Zichen's assistant, Hu Zheng was paid 3 streams of energy every day. Luo Xie also received 3 streams of energy a day because the things he dealt with were not dangerous. However, every time he went out, he was in charge of the energy distribution of hundreds of people. One could imagine how much profit he made. Zichen was different. He only had about 50 people under him. Even if there was profit, it wasn't much. In the end, Hu Zheng started to talk about other things. He didn't mention anything about the rebel army and Wu Jingshi. Zichen had no choice but to ask again. I don't know much about the rebel army, but I heard that the martial crystal is something that can only be found by chance. It's very difficult to get one, and it's also very dangerous. Hu Zheng said, I heard that almost 100 miners died in order to get that martial crystal. I heard that it was because they encountered a burst of martial power that took their lives in an instant. Zichen had seen killing crystals before and knew how miraculous they were. Therefore, he was very curious about the even rarer martial crystal. Most importantly, his strength hadn't increased. Perhaps he could only rely on 1 martial crystal. A 2-strength realm cultivator was restricted here. Once he advanced to 3-strength realm, his situation would obviously be better. Chapter 5026. Hu Zheng shook his head and said, Martial crystals are very rare. They can only be found in small amounts in some mines. Zichen felt a little regretful when he heard this. If there were martial crystal mines, he could go and try. Hu Zheng continued, However, the martial crystals last time were found in the number 1 mine. During this period of time, we have been sending people to the number 1 mine for martial crystals. The sky darkened and bonfires burned fiercely. The second strength realm cultivators stayed outside while the first strength realm cultivators gathered together. Ziqin, Hu Zhang, and Miao Pengfei stayed beside a bonfire. This kind of protection was usually not dangerous. Even if law-breaking beasts appeared, they would not dare to rush over when they saw so many people. Ziqin listened quietly as Hu Zhang talked about the situation here. Occasionally, he would look into the distance. "Sir, I have no more energy." A frightened voice suddenly sounded. "Sir, I can't hold on any longer." A first-strength realm cultivator walked up to Luo Xia in a panic and pleaded, "Sir, I can't hold on any longer." The light of energy around that person had become very dim. Once his energy was exhausted, he would die without a doubt. Get lost. Luo Xia, who was in the middle of the first-strength realm, stood up and kicked that person several feet away. "I have already given you the energy. What does your life have to do with me?" "Sir, I have not received today's share. Please give me some energy." That person stepped forward again and begged. "2 energy in 3 days. You deserve it if you run out of energy." Luo Xia said disdainfully, "If you want to die, get lost. Don't be an eyesore here." Hearing this, Ziqin frowned slightly and asked, "Why do they only get 2 energy in 3 days?" Hu Zheng glanced at Ziqin and did not say anything. Ziqin understood that Luo Xia had taken the other strand of energy away from him. 1 energy in 3 days. It was easy to imagine how many of these 200 people had suffered. "Sir, the journey this time is too long. I really can't hold on any longer. Sir, can you give me some in advance? I promise to make good use of it and not waste it." That person was still pleading. Ziqin looked at the man. According to the light of energy around him, he would die in at most 15 minutes. His gaze shifted again, looking at the other people. Many of them had dimmed. Ziqin wanted to get up. At this moment, Hu Zhang pulled Ziqin aside. "My lord, it's better to avoid unnecessary trouble. This Luo Xia has a very good relationship with Lord Shaman. If you offend him, it will be very difficult for you to gain a foothold here." "That's right, Ziqin. You and I have only just settled down," Miao Pengfei said worriedly. "Let's not cause any more trouble. In this place, without absolute strength, everyone could only stick together. And the 2 of them had just been accepted by this group." Ziqin said, "If we don't do anything, more people will die in the future." Hu Zheng lowered his voice and said, "If they die, there's no need to divide the energy. This is also a way for some people to make money." Hu Zheng was clearly already used to this, because this kind of thing was really too normal. But Ziqin couldn't stand it, because it was a human life, even many human lives. But if they live, they can create more value. He walked over. "Ziqin, you." Miao Pengfei looked at Ziqin, then sighed helplessly. He knew that it was time to run again. Hu Zheng looked at Ziqin's back and said nothing. The other second-strength realm people in the distance all turned around and looked at their new leader poking his nose into other people's business. "Luo Xia, right?" Ziqin walked in front of Luo Xia. Luo Xia turned around and glanced at Ziqin. "What's the matter?" Ziqin said, "According to the rules, each of them will receive a portion of energy every day." The expressions of the other first-strength realm cultivators all changed. Of course they knew this, but no one dared to point it out. At this moment, when they heard Ziqin say such words, the expressions in their eyes changed. "What did you say?" Luo Xia stood up and stared coldly at Ziqin. "According to the rules, each of them will receive a portion of energy every day," Ziqin said calmly as he looked at Luo Xia. "Whose rules? How come I don't know?" Luo Xia picked at his ear and said mockingly, Everyone knows about Master's rules, Zichen said as he pointed at the first strength realm cultivator. You still haven't given him his portion of energy today. Luo Xie chuckled coldly. If I don't want to give it to you, what can you do? Do you really think that you're the leader just because you killed Luo Xie? Let me tell you, you're just a dog brought in at the last minute. If you don't listen, you can be killed at any time. Zichen stared at Luo Xie coldly. You want to talk about rules in front of me? Why don't you take a look at yourself first? Let me tell you, I have plenty of energy, but I'm not willing to give it to you. Luo Xie pointed at Zichen's nose and said, What can you do to me? Look, I have plenty of energy, but I'm not willing to give it to you. I'm willing to watch them all die one by one. Luo Xie pulled out nearly 100 portions of energy and began to flaunt his power in front of Zichen. Zichen pulled out a portion of energy and tossed it to the first strength realm cultivator. After receiving the energy, the first strength realm cultivator hurriedly thanked him and began to refine it. Obviously, saving his own life was more important. When the others saw this scene, they were all very envious. The first strength realm cultivator was lucky to have met such a kind leader. Many of them had died before because they had run out of energy. Zichen turned around and left. Obviously, he didn't want to get into a conflict with Luo Xie. Wait a minute, you think you're going to show off in front of me? Luo Xie said coldly, Very well, the energy of my 200 people will be paid by you. If any of them die because they don't have energy, I won't forgive you. Zichen stopped and turned around. Are you serious? Luo Xie cursed. Do you think I'm joking with you? Why don't you take a piss and look at yourself? Are you worthy of me joking? Zichen suppressed his anger and said, Okay, give me the energy. I'll be the one to release their energy. Are you King stupid? If I were to give you my energy, would I still need you to distribute it? Luo Xie said with a cold expression. What I mean is, you should give me your own energy. Zichen sighed when he heard this. Why, are you regretting it? Then I'll give you another chance. Kneel down and admit your mistake now, and I won't lower myself to your level. Luo Xie spat fiercely. Look at who you are. You're just a cat and a dog. How dare you meddle in my business? Suddenly, he felt a pain in his body. By the time he reacted, one of his arms had disappeared. Luo Xie's eyes suddenly widened, and he looked at Zichen in shock. You dare to attack me? Do you want to die? The others were also shocked and immediately dispersed. Luo Xie immediately took out a stream of energy and began to recover at full speed. How dare you attack me? Just you King wait. I'm actually not kind. Zichen stood in front of Luo Xie. His eyes were cold. He stretched out his hand and drew a line in front of him. A light flashed from his fingertips and directly swept across the other party's legs. Chi, you're tuning in to the Thunder Spear YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.